Hello, hello to anyone arriving. How are we all doing? Hey, Mrs. Alarium, how are we doing? Happy Sunday. I thought today we could do a little bit of gaming news because there's been a little bit of drama. And we also have kind of a cat cam. You can see a black dot in the corner. I'm sure she'll move at some point and you'll see her cute little face. All right, but hopefully everyone's doing good. Oh, I'm already yawning though, which is a really bad sign. Always a bad start. All right, let me post on Twitter so I don't forget. Although Mr. Prod started something very dangerous on Twitter yesterday. He posted the, would you fight a chicken in a car or fight an orangutan with a sword once a year? Stupid thing that we got into a debate about last year. And the whole of Twitter is going crazy with replies right now. I'm staying out of this one this time. All right, I'm not getting involved. I'm never right, so fuck it. All right, let's do a little post. It's surprisingly warming up today a little bit. It's like almost 5 degrees. It's wonderful. Oh, it's a whole 7 degrees. It's been so cold this week. But it is meant to warm up a little bit when Mr. Prod gets here next week. It's going to be a real big shock from him. The temperature's going to be real cold here. Real cold and chilly. Okay. Twitter done. I really want to touch the fur ball. But it's a really dangerous idea. If I touch the cat, she's going to come over here and never leave and bother us forever. Maybe I'll give her a little pet later. We'll see how she is. All right, let's go into some of the chiller gaming news that we have. And then we'll go into some of the slight drama that's been happening with Ubisoft. We've been trying to keep up with the Ubisoft stuff as much as possible. And this week we had a kind of big update. So we'll do those in a little bit. We'll start with the nice chill stuff, which is that there's been a job listing posted, which kind of hints at a AAA studio in LA made by Sony. So I found this article and I thought we would go through it and have a little nose. Also, you can kind of hint who the devs are, but we'll go through it. All right, a job listing for a senior product producer confirmed an open secret that Sony has established at least one new AAA studio in LA. There's been reportedly several groups that this could ultimately be, but the smart money seems to suggest that this is likely a team led by Jason Blundell, who is from Call of Duty Zombies, who left Deviation Studios in 2022. Talking about the fires. Yeah, with the fires, we don't know if their studio is still there. But I think most studios would be more near the center. So I would assume that whatever studio they were is doing fine. All right. What's incredible is that there's a confusion as to which Sony seemingly secret team this could be referring to. In addition to the Blunder Gang, a mysterious internal live service support team was formed from Bungie. In addition, last we heard Sony's secret San Diego team was still working on existing franchises and was even partnering with Naughty Dog. We need some studio names for these unsung heroes quickly. So we have three secret, probably Sony teams in the US right now. And we don't know who any of them are. I guess they wouldn't really announce anything, right, until they have a game to bring with it. But that is the current rumor in the mill, that Sony are working with stuff from the guy who did Zombies, which you would assume would be a shooter. Maybe they're trying to relive up to their Concord shame. Maybe it was already in the works, because we know how long games take. Let's have a little look. Let's see if anything more has come from this. Sony LA new studio. So that was a couple of days ago. No, I think it's all the same other than this one. See if they have any extra news. Talking about Jason Blundell again. No, this is all we know so far. There is a studio somewhere, and it's probably done by by Jason Blundell. But other than that, we do not know. That'll be exciting. I think we need some good COD competitors. I feel like it's so hard to beat them, though. They're already like the tippity top, right? There's like very, very hard to knock them down. But it'd be cool. Hopefully we get some new shooters in the future. All right, we'll do that one later. That's more depressing news. We'll carry on with good, happy news to start with. Tango Gameworks has been reborn as Tango Gameworks Inc. So they are back. I know this was a really depressing moment for a lot of gamers when Hi-Fi Rush makers were gone. But it looks like they are now under ownership of Krafton, which is debatable. We've heard some not great things about Krafton, so we'll see how that goes. But it is nice to see them back. All right, let's have a look at this article. Hi-Fi Rush developers, Tango Gameworks have officially relaunched as Tango Gameworks Inc. under the stewardship of their new parent company, Krafton. We're excited to continue crafting games that will bring joy to players around the world. Thank you for your continued support as we embark on this journey. It's a moment that marks a fresh start for the studio. Tango was shuttered from former owners Microsoft in May 2024 amid layoffs and closures at the Xbox beta, which also result the demise of Alpha Dog Games and Arcade Austin. Tango was deemed surplus to requirements by the company, which is like super sad after they just had Hi-Fi Rush released. The title was called a breakout hit by Xbox, but that did not save them from closure. Try not cough in your ear. It was, however, granted a second chance by PUBG makers Krafton, which acquired the Japanese company from Microsoft in August 2024, months after Tango looked dead in the water. So this happened a while ago then. You can't see my thing under me, but... So they've been sneakily, I guess, preparing an announcement for a little bit. Speaking to game developers about the acquisition a few weeks later, Krafton's CEO Changhang Kim, I probably butchered that, said the move was about preserving the legacy of Tango Gameworks and described it as a last-minute deal. Kim acknowledged that the projects like Hi-Fi Rush might not rake in cash, but suggests studios like Tango should be encouraged to experiment with new ideas regardless. We wanted to maintain their legacy. Although they did not have a big success in their game, we saw many creatives worth pursuing. That's why I wanted to work with that organization. That gives me a little hope that they're not going to do what they've done to many other companies. I think it was the guy who originally did Dead Space, and then he went on to do his sequel. He mentioned that Krafton were like pretty tough with them on keeping them on deadlines and forcing them to cut those deadlines. So it seems quite scary to work under Krafton, but he seems very positive about just letting them be creative. So we'll see how long that lasts. Krafton acquired Hi-Fi Rush franchise along with Tango, and a sequel is very much on the cards. Discussing how Tango would look under Krafton, Kim claimed the studio would look to hire a minimum of 100 people, including many former employees. Perhaps we need a bigger team. We haven't decided on that, but we don't plan to reduce the size of the team at all. They will have to work on new products as well, so it's a great opportunity for the team to scale up further. This will be interesting. Let's see if they've posted anything else. So they're just Tango Inc. now, right? Yeah. Twitter. I'm not calling it X. It doesn't deserve to be called X. It's a terrible name. Okay, so this is the... Oh, there it is. So it was January 1st. We've had quite a while since then. And they've not posted anything else. Hey, Maidenless, how we doing? Cool. So I guess we'll see. I wonder if they've replied to anybody. It's like, no, you need to sign in. Denied. I can't be asked to sign in. Okay, fine. It'd be cool to see what they do. It's always nice to see devs that we as a community all get very sad about losing, and someone's saving them. We'll see though how it works under Crafton. All right, beautiful stuff. Let's get into something a little bit different, and then we'll do all the kind of stressy stuff right at the end. I saw this just before I went live that someone has done a blockchain gaming documentary. I'm not sure if you've been keeping up with blockchain games, but they're not good. I don't know. I've not seen one that hasn't been a scam. But I thought maybe we'll watch this together, and we'll see if maybe there is some secret ones that have been doing really, really well that we have no idea about. So we'll watch this and we will see how it is. All right, let me organize stuff so we can hear this on YouTube too. Okay. I think that's the right one. Okay. I have many applications going right now. Give me a second.
No idea.
Blockchain, no.
All right, we'll see how this is. And after this, if you're really interested, I will. There's a lot of videos about blockchain games, so we'll go look at some. We'll go see how amazing these are. Okay, I think we're ready. I'm in the way only a little bit, so that's good. All right.
I actually mined a bit of Ethereum myself.
Have you heard of crypto?
Yes, of course.
Virtual money kind of thing?
I'm open to it, but like also not really invested.
Have you heard of NFTs?
Yes.
These are all the worst things, by the way.
Non-fungible tokens.
Yeah.
They've got an association with pictures, and then you can sell it.
This NFT for this and that money, and he lost so much money and stuff.
And you can only enter this bar if
Hey Zara, how we doing?
if you have an NFT. Buy a watch, very expensive.
Yeah.
That you connected with an NFT.
Wow.
So
Have you played games?
no, I'm not.
Not really.
A bit.
Yeah, I'd probably still call myself a gamer.
I'll be honest, not to judge, but to judge a little bit. If you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a photo, I concern about you, to be honest. NFTs are such a bad idea, and people have spent so much money in them. Has there been a single NFT that has actually done well? I can't think of one that hasn't just like failed miserably. I'm glad that it's kind of died a little bit, but even Ubisoft brought out like an NFT game a couple months ago. They were so quiet about it too. They didn't say anything. It just launched quietly. And the NFTs are so expensive. But yeah, I just haven't seen one of these that hasn't been kind of a scam so far.
There's so many games that you've invested money, games and servers that shut down. I mean, it just gets lost, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just vanishes.
NFT bros think they're buying Bitcoin in 2004. Yeah.
I've never heard of that. Sorry.
No.
Gaming on
But no,
blockchain.
yeah.
Is that
That's what they
something you'd be
hoped, I think.
interested
And I get that.
Yeah. Actually.
I get the hope at the beginning of NFTs, thinking like new revolution, maybe this will do well. But after like the fourth one that fails, it's the same as like meme coins, right? Once the first 6 meme coins fail, don't buy into the next one, right? I just don't think you got to be a bit smarter with your money. I know people hope to be the first ones in, but like there's not many meme coins that have done successfully well, and it's kind of the same with NFTs. I feel like it's just a risky business. Definitely don't spend money that you can't afford to lose, because you're probably losing it, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I think so.
You think so?
I would be interested. Yes.
Don't be interested in scam to follow him.
And I come from a small town north of Munich in Bavaria, and we've been creating this fantasy world that ended up in the game Evolute, which is a dark fantasy game that is meant to suck you in immediately. We were part of that.
You gonna show us gameplay?
That noticed NFTs coming up and saw the huge potential, but we just seen so few examples of something really meaningful, and also we miss the more dark side of things. We've seen so many monkeys and colorful things, and like, where's the RPG side of this? And also like utility. Everyone talked about it, but it wasn't really it.
Haven't all the NFTs been like open worlds from what I've seen? They're kind of all RPGs. It's about how Inaza made Fallout music made by Polygon. It's really interesting, educational. Yeah, you can send it over if you want, Zora.
Thing like no one really had utility for this stuff.
I'm intrigued about this Evolute now. We're going to have to check out some gameplay.
And it actually happened here in these halls. This city here, it lives and breathes medieval history. From the cobblestone streets to cathedrals, everything reminds you of that time. And actually from here, we've been drawing a lot of inspiration. And that's where it all started, right? Just creating NFTs. And then we found out like, we're capable of doing more. And that's where we did missions that players could go on using their NFTs. The community, they went wild because at that time it wasn't really common to have an NFT that had a utility in a game perspective. So we knew we were onto something because the community reacted really, really well.
I'm Lou, I'm co-founder.
Evolute. Okay, while this is going, I'm gonna nose on this side about like how much this game makes, and we'll talk about it after.
My job basically is to overlook the whole tech department. I try to recruit the best possible talent. I dabble into everything else though as well. I mean, if there's a support ticket open, I'm probably going to be one of the first to answer.
Thank you, Zora. We'll check in a bit.
Keep this thing going and make something great out of it. An NFT is just a digital asset. It's just something that's inscribed on a blockchain. It can be whatever you want. Most of the times it's just a link to some media type somewhere. So NFTs within our game are playable characters, and those characters can have items, for
You see my
example.
face.
They can have equipables. I mean, we're
It's not
using
been doing
modular
well.
NFTs, which allow us to nest NFTs within NFTs, basically get this bundle of NFTs, which in our game are evolving with you. There's like so much magic around it, and the end product is something that is so much more than just a picture. The media, that's kind of what they make fun of, right? Like it's just a picture somewhere on a server, but you can actually make much more out of it. We do have some resources in our game as well, but those are like different standards. Your C1155s. For the really special NFTs, we preserve the traditional 721 standard to be the coolest ones.
Hi, Amiria. How we doing?
Co-founders of Ayuna Network. 12, 13 years ago, I was living at that point in Greece, right around the financial crisis. In Greece, we had something called capital controls, which essentially meant that your bank was preventing you from accessing your own money. So that was actually the first real time that I thought, hey, maybe not having somebody in between me and my money is a good idea. That was my
Why is an
first, I
NFT
think,
this
touch
like
point with cryptocurrency and blockchain as a whole?
Cryptocurrency fine, but like I feel like who plays a video game and buys NFTs and thinks that's going to be like the money that they're going to retire on? I just feel like it's so volatile.
Bitcoin specifically. After the 2000s, when sort of the internet proliferated and suddenly gaming became much more of a social activity, it opened up the opportunities to connect with people from all over the world and different backgrounds. So I've always kept this thesis that it's blockchain that needs gaming at this stage, not gaming that needs blockchain.
No, we don't
Whenever
need
have
you
a new
at all.
introduction
No,
of
we're good.
massive technology, it's usually gaming that manages to package all of that technology in a super digestible way.
If anything, you're taking advantage of gamers. Not to be judgmental or anything, but
even 20 years later, you can see the numbers in most app stores are dominated still by the gaming vertical. What I hope it can do for blockchain, it can sort of open up a massive number of end users which can enter this space in a very simple way through a game, and then
Greasy woke up. Beautiful. Hope you had a good day.
Use them to all of the different concepts.
I got initially involved with blockchain in general just out of curiosity. I heard about it in the news. I've always been interested in tech in general, so this was something pretty...
What is blockchain? My dumbass description is going to be terrible, so give me a second. I'll give you the correct one and not my dumbass explaining. Blockchain is a secure, transparent, and immutated digital ledger that records transactions and tracks access across networks. It's basically where they keep a track of how much money all of these meme coins and NFTs make. Basically, that's what it is. That is what the blockchain is.
Natural to me. I really quickly stumbled into the whole gaming side of things. There was one project, they promised a game, and one of the first mechanics was being able
actually
to
have
stake your NFT, having an NFT.
The stats for that of a game up here, and it's not
at the
amazing.
What this kind of evolved into was me wanting to do more. I knew that I'm probably
Hey Sigma, how we doing?
But I didn't really have any idea of what I want to do yet. I didn't start with thinking, hey, I want to do something with NFTs, but I was fascinated by them. And I quickly realized that the bar is so incredibly low, so it was a really natural space to jump into and try to create something cool.
Colval, thanks for
My name is
35 months.
Kim. Right now, I'm working as a CEO and founder of Team Step, which started out as an indie studio. Now we're working on broader products for enabling Web3 as a general infrastructure for other indie studios.
I like him
And
just
was
drinking a
also
beer.
the
Why not?
CTO and the initial contributor and founding member of Astar Network. Right now, we're working on a project called Which One, which is an online hide-and-seek game, kind of a mix between Among Us with a battle royale game. Technology plays a huge role when it comes to game development. It's not just...
Well, we're going to have to buy our hide-and-seek characters.
For the game.
Iuna Network essentially is a decentralized infrastructure for gaming. We really focus on making sure that we can create
She's moving.
tools that will be used tomorrow for on-chain gaming. We put a lot of focus on how can we put even a whole game logic on-chain and put the power back into the hands of the developers.
We started from the tech perspective rather from game perspective. We've been fascinated with this ownership approach. There's such a big...
That one statement to me is why this doesn't work. He says, we're looking at this on a tech perspective more than a game perspective. So they're not making good games. They just want to make money on NFTs, right? That's how I take that statement. It's like, we're not gamers. We don't make video games. We don't know how to make video games. But we will take your money while you buy our shit. That's kind of how I take that. Like, is any of these guys actually worked in video gaming before? You know? Like, that's... If NFTs are going to do well, right, you need that. Like, an actual love for gaming. I don't know. It just... That, to me, says everything, that comment.
Opportunity to create a market and create an alignment with players and the game studio itself. If I compare ourselves to other game studios, we see them developing in the shadows and then releasing to something and maybe not even hitting a market. What we could do with NFTs was community building approach that we did early on. We had people that were very committed to the idea that we have and they were aligned with our values. We used these very committed people.
At least they're doing their own art. I'll give them that.
That really helped find us a product market fit where we could inch
It's not just like shitty AI
to
stuff.
find out if the product that we're building actually
Well,
is
it doesn't look like AI stuff.
that gives us an edge on classic development that often happens behind closed doors and that isn't really used. Imagine you had a studio before, you had to raise funds on a very specific idea, maybe you had to iterate a prototype, you had to spend a lot of resources up front. What NFTs
Kid with the cat's moving around.
as a game studio as well is collect some funding like we did, integrate the people in a vision very easily and get this whole thing going here.
My name is Corby. I founded a game development company a few years ago. Actually my third, because game development is pretty rough. Our company is called Cell Rage. We were working on a prototype for the game Go Red, Pokemon Go-like location-based game about an astronaut walking on Mars. I also founded Association for Game Development, which already has around 30
I want to touch
members.
the cat, but it's a bad idea.
On the
Hi,
scale
Kato.
of something we were planning to do, multiplayer, mobile, location-based, many technologies, we estimated 2 million for production. To make that prototype, server infrastructure is pretty expensive. We had 400K, but it's a big project. You really need to say that's a really big, ambitious project.
How does a Mars Pokemon Go walking game cost $1 million? That's just... The amount of money that games cost these days is just crazy.
But we had a great team, so we just went straight into it. There's many game projects in our local community which are actually pretty small, or like solo dev who really just need half a year to really get an awesome prototype, maybe 40K or something like that. Yeah. No, that was only plain development costs. In the mobile market, you just need to buy your users at least 2 million, but more like 5 million for really get into the Play Store ratings and finding your target group.
The main issue, if you talk with most game developers, and I'm talking about indie game developers right now, not sort of the big studios, is that they need resources. So funding in order to be able to create the game.
Oh yeah.
And the second, and I would say biggest problem is how can they create a big enough community to make their game or business successful. I think
Make
the
a good
most
game.
Successful business model in crypto has been fundraising, to be honest. If the first and only product that we had was cash, which would be sort of Bitcoin or electronic money, then whether you want to call it an ICO or an NFT or now a meme coin, they all fall under the category of an innovative way to raise funds quickly, which, to be honest, answers...
I love the way of calling a meme coin an innovative way to make funds. I have not seen a meme coin survive, what, a year? There must be some, right? but there's not. Most of them don't. You just basically just convince all your community to spend a shit ton of money, and then the price of it just kind of plummets. I feel like that is normally what happens.
Quite directly a lot of the problems of game developers right now. What I'm hoping
I think that's such a bad idea. We should not promoting game developers to just
in Web3, and that's I think where the
all have NFTs in their games.
That's where we can really enhance, especially indie developers' journey towards success.
It's like a next step towards like in-game,
My last project
like
was pretty
buying
big
in-game
to
stuff.
Government funds. The last year there was almost no signings of new projects, especially in the newcomer section. To the start of COVID, crypto and NFT were just the buzzwords. Like a little bit mad because
Hamster coin was big. There's a huge amount of idiots found that they got scammed.
Games Industry Conference, Helsinki, at the Pocket Gamer. Investors were all, yeah, but you need to put in our NFT SDK and stuff.
I've been working in industry jobs from consulting to very well paid job in the industry. Been doing Evolut on the side for quite some time. I enjoy what I do with Evolut so much because I had this direct feedback from the community, which I was really missing in the industry job.
We'll go watch some gameplay of this game in a minute.
Behind, like, so many
Dogecoin. I think Dogecoin's probably the only one, right, that did do slightly better than the rest. Right, that one lasted quite well. Hog Tour coin is probably the last one that went to shit. They pumped and dumped that so fast.
To a not so clear future.
My name is Joseph, or Everlord. I am the general manager.
He just called himself the Everlord. I love that.
To do, or would make them lose like focus from the product, financial stuff, legal stuff, HR stuff. I have this Web 2 service that's called Cloudfood, and the company behind Evolut is called Chainfood. Not working for clients, but our own thing. It's a huge difference.
Kind of sounds like this is actual that it's not actual developers but tech bros. Yeah, that's what they said just a minute ago. That they're looking at this on the tech side more than a gaming side. These guys are here to make money on NFTs. They don't really seem to care about the game itself.
Obviously, there was a lot of skepticism around that because of this being just a bubble that bursts. Eventually, I got a lot of support from the network. They see our infectious.
Okay, he might enjoy it a little bit. He wants to dress up. Maybe he's a bit of a gamer.
Do front end. During the job interview, I got asked if I wanted to do a Web3 game. I didn't know much about it at the time, but I thought it sounded cool, so I said yes. It's nice to see even as actual real-life people play it, so that's really cool. All of my friends ask me, what are you doing for work? And I'm like, it's kind of complicated.
So in the last 24 hours, there is 36 active wallets on this game, interacting and performing transactions. And in the last 7 days, there has been 68. And their incoming flat value transactions is $28. So if you want to take that into perspective of how many people are probably playing this game.
Try to be as vague as possible. I get asked a lot if it's like a scam where people pay money and don't get their money back.
Blockchain and NFTs,
I'm surprised they kept that in.
Our industry are known for being pyramid schemes, pump and dump, and scam many people. We want to independently make fair games, don't want to exploit our customers, and didn't want to get the.
Well, let's hope you're the only one, I guess.
NFT and crypto, which actually the game would be the perfect game for putting all the economy on a chain, and it's a decent technology where you can get that feeling that you really own the stuff you farm there. It's hard for me how you make it fair. My brother is really skeptical of people playing games in that genre. The thing that motivates them to play that game is a sense of greed. It feels more like a black market where everything is allowed. Also the taxation of crypto and all that stuff. It's impossible for us to foresee the economical impact in the long run. So we are skeptical.
Probably there's more reasons to not use blockchain than to use blockchain, if I'm being
Okay, well, at least they're being honest.
One is the public reputation. The moment you bring up crypto or Web3 or blockchain, people are thinking of the play to earn, degen culture, people scamming each other. And let's face it, that happens a lot. That happens like every day. So I don't blame anyone for
like 90%.
not wanting to use the technology, because people look at the crypto side and the equity side more than the technology side. Yeah, it's like judging Unity Engine for its shitty, asset flip games than thinking about its fundamental capabilities as an engine. A lot of crypto games.
I guess the issue I would say to him there, right, is you guys, no one in NFT has proven to do a good game yet. So like they could be the ones, right? Obviously. But the way he says like, you don't blame Unity for all the shit games made on it. Yeah, but there is actual good games made on it. You guys have only brought shit out. So that's why people assume that everyone is going to be shit, right? That's unfortunately the problem there. One good NFT game needs to come out before people start giving it any credit.
Games make the assumption that people who are playing their games are crypto bros. If the crypto aspect is the main part of your game, meaning that making money, not making fun, well, first thing, they're not going to care about the game. They're going to care about the money-making aspect of it. So,
which is probably most of them, right?
It becomes a self-fulfilling process. This compounds to the negative image that this industry has. We at Team Step kind of refuse to reference any crypto aspect of our game because we don't issue any tokens at all. If we can treat blockchain as what it is, which is technology, a thing that's used to solve a problem, I think that would definitely encourage more game developers to integrate with crypto.
I think we would all lie if money was no incentive at all. If you focus on the money, it may come, but you're most likely going to disappoint a lot of people. It was more of a frustrating point where we were like, there were so many projects promising so much, and how can people even...
I see you guys talking about not owning games. I guess the thing that I would say to that is when we physically bought a game and then we owned it completely, they were games that were not online, not getting updates, and not getting any chance of like ever being fixed if they were broken, right? So like we can go back to that if you want, where a game comes out broken and it never gets fixed again. But the whole reason of like you not getting comfortable owning games is, I think the only reason you ever lose your games is if you stop paying your contracts or get banned, right? That's normally the two reasons why you these days would not own the games that you've paid for. Like most contracts have that in it, which is like, you own all the items in this game right now, unless you get banned and do something stupid, then the account gets banned and then you lose all your money, so yeah, like it's all well and good just like throwing out we don't own our games, but like there's a lot of benefits that came through being online than the old ways where like I remember games coming out and spending $40 on it and it being completely broken and you can't even get past the first two maps, and games can't get fixed then, right? We're not fixing games. It would take like months and months and months and months and months for them to remake the game, put it in a new version, and then you still have to buy it again. It's not like we got a discount. So I do like the current system where we can actually like get updates and get events and have ongoing campaigns, and so there's a lot of bonus that comes from our games being online. But, if you buy your games on online systems, then that is the problem, right? Is that they're all going to have terms of service. All right, back to blockchain.
Throw money at those, only believing in some sort of hype narrative that if you dive a little deeper is so obviously so hard to deliver that it can just be a hoax. Back in the day, metaverse was a big buzzword people were throwing around. I mean, even now, almost 2 years later, nothing has been released. So there are people that want to do something, that are willing to also pay for it, but they're super disappointed. So why not jump into that product market fit, basically? If we do it right,
is this what that game looks like?
Anyway, we are not going to release a white paper, promise the world, and then ultimately crumble under the pressure we're setting.
Oh my god, we weren't even watching this.
Hard into it if we...
It feels way longer than 15 minutes. I'm sorry. This feels like it's dragging a little bit. All right, sorry. I'm back in.
Try to deliver the best possible thing we can, then the success kind of follows like the passion. That's still our mantra kind of to this day.
How long have they been making this
We are
game?
based in Germany. Just applying for a bank account if you have crypto or token or NFT anywhere.
September
that the time
25th,
zones don't meet, the
2023.
barriers
So this has
really
been a
are still
2-year
there. I
product.
think the US has a similar problem. I've been living here our whole life. We want to pay taxes. We want to be a startup that is helping the scene, not just jump into Cayman Islands or whatever.
But it was
The
kind of
page is a
risky
little
move
laggy.
for us to kind of stay in Germany. If you are classified as some other asset, you could require a banking license from one day to another.
We went to a couple of different tax attorneys, like an edge case here or there, where you ask them and you're like, so how does this exactly work? And they're basically like, oh, we don't know. If this goes badly, there's going to be tens of thousands of dollars.
All right, we'll look at this page
to
in a
pay
minute.
back, basically, for something we try to be as compliant as possible.
If you run into them, you're kind of fucked, right? You kind of feel alone in that whole thing, and the risk is really like it's weighing on you. You want to build a product and you want to focus on that, and you're super passionate about the product. On the other side, you might need one dedicated person that is dealing with all the stuff that could go wrong on that end. Government grants, they want to get companies in the gaming industry. We weren't eligible. If you're making like just $1 of money, you would be classified as a game that has released.
The rigidness and the bureaucracy really makes it tough to kind of be innovative.
We're dealing there with people now that don't have kind of this thing that
There's
we
like,
feel all around of us,
maybe-
like, oh, crypto bad, and that's a very
What is he trying to complain that he couldn't get grants to make the game because they were already selling crypto, so the game technically has already come out, so they couldn't get grants? Is that what he's trying to say? You were just not, like, why are you selling things when the game's not ready? Unless they just made it baseline and then they've just been updating it month by month, so then the game has technically come out, right?
good thing.
If you're planning on issuing cryptocurrencies or anything with tangible financial value, the whole
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Fardeen.
process for your
Hopefully,
players is a nightmare. You have to scan your
you'll feel a little
passport,
better in a couple of
national
days.
ID,
At least,
you
you
have
know,
to wait for
he's
what
out of
provider
pain.
you're using to
It's
approve
the one thing I
your
always tell myself.
identification because
But
of
we're
the
here if you want to
KYC
talk.
for every single game. That's a bit too much. Like, I don't care about the whole crypto aspect of it. I just want to play the game because it's fun. I do not see a future where the average players would be excited to connect their wallet to a game. Yes, it would definitely solve a lot of the problems we have right now in the gaming space, where you either log in with Steam and you have to be satisfied with that, or you stick with PlayStation. They don't like playing with each other. Crypto can definitely act as a bridge, but it just adds to the complexity.
It's not that we don't like playing with each other. That's such a weird... Do you guys not play
It
games?
happens quite often. You think you're gonna conquer the world.
Sony players and Steam players don't hate each other. It's like it's a joke. It's a joke, right? It's a joke that we complain who's better. It's not like we hate each other. They don't want to play with each other. We do. It's called open. You know, we do play with each other all the time. We have many games that we play together. That's not really the reason why we. They're just pissed that they can't have their games on Steam and on all these big platforms because. You know, like, can you imagine PlayStation putting an NFT game up on their platform and everyone getting fucking scammed? That would go down like a fucking lead balloon. You know, like they're not going to do that. They're not going to risk that. You guys need to prove yourselves first before you blame the industry for not growing. You know, I don't know if I took what he said wrong, but that's how I took it.
A month later, you're like, we're in this bear market. What do we do now? I mean, technology in general is changing really rapidly, but especially Web3, us being on a chain or ecosystem that is really proud about changing quickly and a lot, it makes it tough for the builders in the space itself. From one day to the other, the fees 10x'd, and being deemed inoperable from one day to the other is tough. There are reasons for change, obviously, but being like at the end of the food chain and basically feeling the biggest impact of that can be difficult at times.
This was opportunity as well. Other projects that were along with us at the start, they just like stopped being there. It looked very dire and we didn't know what would come up. No one of us was really doing that purely for the money, and there was no money made in bear market. What would come up? No one of us.
Chat. Look at the characters. These are their NFTs. It's just the same guy under everything. Oh, there's a girl too, sorry. And then it's just clothes and armor. And I think the clothes and armor is what you're selling.
Us was doing doing that purely for the money, and there was no money
I have
made
no
in
words.
the bear market. What kept us going is the passion here and kind of our core belief that we're building something.
I know
that's
these
unique
guys
on the
mentioned at the
market
beginning that they do hand draw all their
Kind
stuff.
of gets rid of all the projects that are in it kind of for the money, which is a good thing. Everybody that is around in a bear market, right? Those are the people that really care.
Games market is super rough for us right now. I think globally to get funding. The state of our project right now is we just cut it. We couldn't find investment in the heights we needed.
Also, we're speaking to different devs, by the way, of different
Everybody
games.
knew that this could happen, but the whole team just got so invested in the whole story, all the creative world.
Leaving art design to the artists. Those are done by artists, mainly. That wasn't artist stuff that you just saw. Not all artists are
There is no funding
good.
at all. It's rough that everybody says that it looks so awesome, and wait, haven't you talked till 3 years ago, but doesn't help us.
Blockchain is not really a single thing, right? Decentralized access to a broader network that traditionally you as an independent studio wouldn't really have access to.
We're almost there, chat.
Specifically, and we
We're
have
almost there.
accessible computational power.
Not all artists support. I guess art is, you know, it's an opinion, right? What you like and don't like. I'm also joking. But yeah, you know, there is some art that you will absolutely despise, and there's some art that you will fall in love with. His art was, the art for this game so far is a little, not something I want to spend my money on, I guess. I'm not going to spend the money I don't have on these so far. Not enough cats for me.
To access the blockchain in an object-related way. One of the big
I need
features that Polkadot offers
tobacco.
is runtime modules, like so-called pellets, and the SDK just allows you to access all the functions that exist on top of those nodes. It just takes you like 2 seconds to create a full-fledged API, which you then can enter into Unity, and you can access the blockchain as if it's like a very slow database.
Community equity, voting rights or recognition to people who've been a long-term supporter. You have a way to recognize that. Airdrops, a lot of people do that with NFTs or new tokens that they release, get people interested in it and actually use what you're trying to do. Our game, Which One, is a complete P2P game. I'm not sure if you played Minecraft. Anyone can set up their own server, bring their friends in, how you would have a LAN party back in the old days. But the problem with P2P game is that because anyone can become a host of any play session, you can't really have any paid premium items that's tied to the player account, because literally anyone can just hack the game, you know, spoof whatever information they have. Because we're indie studio, we don't have enough money to pay for AWS or Unity Cloud or any hosting service. But how can we have paid accounts if anyone can spoof any account? And our solution was to use blockchain as a reference server. Of course, you can still play the game without blockchain, but using blockchain helps us enable these technologies with a very low operating cost. I think that's a game changer for indie studios.
Our relationship with our digital assets is evolving. In-game items and assets have become sort of memorabilia for us.
Yeah, but they're normally like $2 to $20. They're not hundreds and thousands, you know.
That we talk about here in blockchain.
Other than
when
CS:GO.
it shouldn't be. Ownership is important because it means something to you. In video games, there hasn't been a problem of scarcity because it's always controlled and defined by the developer of the game itself.
We never really owned those assets, so if
There
a
he goes.
server went down or a game was discontinued, we just lost all our assets. On-chain means you really own it. One of the big challenges that Web 2 has is that the concentration phase of a player is very, very short. People are like downloading games, they look at it like 5 to 20 seconds, and if in those 20 seconds nothing catches their attention, then it's deinstalled. Blockchain allows you to not only to make them a player, you can also make them a builder by decision, but they also can earn. If your game is successful, they can also become successful. It makes them much more than just a player. They become a part of the whole ecosystem of this game.
We are pushing for a space where there's not this reputation anymore when you talk to your uncle about Web3 that he's like, oh, those are the scammers, right? We see those big problems that a lot of people are mentioning, and rightly so. But there are solutions. As many obstacles as you face in this space, it's also a huge opportunity. It's not a super saturated market yet. If you really put in the effort, people will recognize it.
Blockchain games. Yeah, this documentary just came out, so we thought we would have a little look.
Player of a trailblazer for the blockchain ethos. We need someone big, show players in the outside. The blockchain isn't evil. It can be combined into something that
You gotta prove that. We have no proof of you not being evil so far. Okay?
This is a legit team that is trying to do
Hey, cream
legit
cheese.
things and really attract users, so let's support them. It's such a great confidence boost for us, seeing that, hey, the space really values what we are trying to push. So we are approaching an investment round, approaching a token sale where we want to set ourselves up.
Oh god, that's why they're doing this, because they're going to do a token sale soon.
To the next 100, 200,000 players. I mean, there are big players.
Okay, I'm done. I can't end it. It's too much. Okay, so this was the main game that they were talking about. This is Everloot. We're going to watch some gameplay of this. These were the guys who were very, very convinced in that documentary that they were not doing this as a scam. They were the ones that were doing real art. They're the ones that have so much love for this game. And I would, you know, if that's true, then awesome. But they have to prove that. So these are the NFTs that they sell. Yeah, this is a browser base. It's a web page, web free. All right, let's see if we can see some gameplay of this game. So they were Loot, something like that. Nope, I'm wrong. That's good. Oh, take out the. All right, let's see.
You've probably heard of Everloot.
This was 2 years ago.
If you do have already a character, this is the city here. Okay, you just have to keep on doing this, or just have to hit do not show tutorial, because otherwise it just keeps on showing it. So here we've got the whole city. As you can see, there are multiple buildings here, but we can't access them all. They will likely unlock other ones outside. The image here, where they basically tell you something. There's some backstory to it, and then you can choose different options. You could tell her to bring you something to eat, for example, or you just say I need to leave. Test it out. So hence why I kept one character. But I mean, if you're into it, if you're planning to play this to earn NFTs and hopefully some valuable NFTs, then it's definitely one worth trying, of course. And
you can see my face. It's the same as all the rest of them, right? All right. Let's see how it looks now. Do they have any videos of how it looks now? That's good. That's good. That's good. That's great. It's to me, it always worries me when their own website doesn't show any of their own gameplay.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do a deep dive on Everloot, run through the gameplay for both free-to-play players and holders, and lastly, take a look at their roadmap to see what's coming in 2025. So what is Everloot? It is a browser-based MMO that plays like a combination of Darkest Dungeon, World of Warcraft, and classic idle browser games. The project started in 2022 with the mint of their first Souls collection. These NFTs use remark technology, which means they can be combined with other equipment and weapon NFTs. This design was intentional right from the start, allowing the team to expand the game world without having to compromise on the original NFTs. With expansions and add-ons,
yeah, they said that they drew their stuff.
Equipment and weapons, and the souls will be able to equip them to use in the game without changing any of the core metadata or having to refresh or update the NFTs. Now, I really like this because it shows the team has planned ahead and there's room for limitless expansion from a technological standpoint.
Never understood the appeal of NFTs. Money, 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 money. Fardine, how can we make money? It's just money. It's a way to make money as quickly as possible. And unfortunately, no one has done an NFT game that's actually good. So we have not, seen a version of this that isn't just for money so far.
Once you've accumulated some glitz, be sure to head over to the armory and the Warborn camp to purchase armor and weapon packs.
It's just the same boring shit.
So what is coming up next for Everloot?
It's the same boring shit. All right, it's no different. We gave it a second, I'm going to show you some really bad NFT games now. Let's go down the crypto of how bad these crypto games is. There's a guy. who makes mainly just videos of him playing crypto games. Where was he? I think it is this drawn guy.
Cryptocurrency and
This poor man has put himself through so much pain for us, so we're going to watch a bit of his content. First one I'll show you is this one, which is his first video that I saw.
talk about. This is actually the entire gameplay loop of Illuvium. Enter the overworld, collect rocks until your
Okay,
energy runs out. Return
so I won't put you through this whole video,
backstory might help here, since these crypto
but here we go. All right.
games all blend together at this point. Illuvium was originally announced in early 2021, with a promised full release in 2023. Well, 2023 has long since passed, and the game still hasn't fully released, but open beta
It's a
counts
good sign.
for something, right? Many crypto games don't make it half as far, so credit given where it's due. Illuvium Studios was founded in 2020 by the Australian Warwick brothers, newcomers to the gaming industry. They pitched a revolutionary game, one that would allow players complete ownership of their digital assets, fully tradable, and
Like they all do,
self-sustaining digital
yeah.
economy. Wow, I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
Illuvium is more than a game, though. It's an IPG. Remember,
Look at that.
interoperability is offered through the company's 3 concurrently developed titles: Illuvium Overworld, Illuvium Arena, and Illuvium Zero.
Yeah. So the reason I want to show you this one is because these guys were like, what kind of game do we make? I don't know. Let's make 3 different games all in one game. So all of them are like half-baked games in one game. It's like such a head fuck.
Person shooter, an auto battler, and a city builder. With these 3 different offerings, Illuvium aims to offer a game.
They're trying to hope that they at least make everyone happy a little bit.
You've never made a video game before, but you've decided the best way to start is by trying to make 3 simultaneously.
Crazy.
To maybe, test the waters first, see how the team works together, do something small like a game jam. Despite their lack of track
Nope.
record, the Warwick brothers managed to
3 at
sell
once.
over $120 million in virtual land and NFTs for this unreleased game. This is not including the additional $60 million they secured from venture capital investors. Remember, this was during the early days of NFT mania, when games like these were popping up left and right. This ridiculous amount of hype led Illuvium's crypto token to skyrocket to nearly $2,000, briefly carrying the Warwick brothers' net worth
Crazy.
into the billions.
I bet that didn't
All
last
this
long.
happened in 2022, but after only 2 years, the same crypto token is now worth only $40.
Oh,
A
there it
massive
is.
fall of 97%. But that's not important. Crypto games are only half crypto. Part of it's still a video game, and those are usually pretty fun.
Oh my
It
God.
should come without saying that Illuvium is still in beta, as all crypto
And on
games are.
Epic,
That
by the
means
way.
that
Epic
you
do
should
allow
expect games
NFT
mostly
games.
feature complete, but still in need of a little polish. That's okay. I've dumped dozens of hours into games that are still in alpha. Good gameplay is addicting, even if it's a little rough. As Steam has presented itself as hostile to crypto gaming, Illuvium resides on the ever-despised Epic Game Store. I gotta say, it's really starting to grow on me after all these years. They give me free games without any sort of obligation, all while providing me with enough shovelware to make a lifetime of videos.
Lem, Blackkeel insists we set course for Illuvium.
But I can feel it. This is Illuvium.
Scans indicate a dead planet.
God, it's like Dark Souls 2 trailer all over again. The false sense of security.
I need to know how this ends.
Officer Huck, let me resolve this peacefully.
Also, that's his cursor in the middle of the screen, not mine, if you can see it. Don't blame me for that. Whole cutscene is 3.5 minutes long. Well, they've obviously spent a lot of money on that.
Even a fraction of this quality, it would be literally the greatest crypto game ever made. After 30 seconds of a black screen, I'm brought to the game's character creator.
Oh.
Customization is limited, with only a few face, hair, and skin color presets to choose from. Not like it matters, because I can't even see what my character looks like. It would appear that the in-game camera has what can only be a thin layer of Vaseline smeared over its lens.
Oh no,
I can see.
that's a good
Our
start.
character is awakened from what appears to be some sort of cryogenic chamber, and we're fed a series of tooltips offering an explanation of the game's controls. This includes important activities such as moving with WASD, looking with your mouse, and holding shift to sprint. Going against the recent trend in crypto games, Illuvium
Well,
has opted to
at
use
least he's
real
got some
human voice actors.
fucking
However, the lip syncing is particularly poor quality.
some juicy cheeks on the back of that character.
A single second.
Cadet, complete your training on the lower deck.
Heading down the elevator, I stop by the armory to grab some new clothes and a weapon before continuing to the simulation room. This section serves as a more thorough
What is this
guide to the
armor?
aspects of Illuvium's controls, specifically moving and shooting. These advanced movement techniques are sliding, double jumping, gliding, or using a jetpack. It's nothing too groundbreaking, and some of the animations look really goofy, but it works and feels somewhat fluid. After completing this short obstacle course,
That's the
we're directed
tutorial.
towards a massive obelisk outside whatever training facility we were just in. Activating this teleports us to Brightland Steps, one of Illuvium's overworld zones. Let's
Oh,
and take in the view.
I thought to say-
It's overwhelmingly purple and green. They chose the most
I can't imagine how demanding this is in your PC. I feel like these games are never, you know, never scaled well.
I'm particularly a fan of. Our next mission requires the collection of ore and plants, which can be found from nodes placed randomly around the map. They can easily be identified by activating the visor, which highlights nearby collectibles.
And that's the gameplay.
This drains your stamina, indicated by the purple bar in the middle of the screen. Since actions like gliding and jumping also drain this, it's important to limit your usage of the visor. Resource nodes can be shot at with your charge beam, directing your robot assistant to collect them. This can be done at any distance, and everything is collected with a single blast, so long-range gathering is a breeze. But just as soon as we've collected our rocks and plants, our first alluvial is encountered. Nice. Time for some third-person shooter combat. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So this is where the game gets really weird.
Guns don't harm the creatures. You want to capture them, not kill them. When you approach an alluvial in the overworld, they immediately start trying to run away from you. You'll need to use different movement options to close the distance, all while shooting them with your weapons, filling the purple bar at the top.
Is it kind of like Pokemon?
An alluvial enough to fill the bar, they're transported into what's referred to as a pocket dimension. Approaching this portal allows you to teleport inside, changing our perspective entirely. I don't even know what I'm looking at.
And then game number 2 fucking appears apparently.
To an auto battler without any explanation. Well, I only have one option here. Click start.
So it just turns into team fight tactics.
Wait, take it. This one's too much.
Oh, never mind. Dead. RIP.
Come on, game. What was that supposed to teach me? I immediately lost, and I didn't learn about the gameplay at all.
The game is using a graphics card for mining. I honestly think with these games, it's just the fact that they are not balanced well, because these people don't make video games. That's mainly what it is. Yeah, there we go. It's like you and me by playing a video game and making one, and not knowing how to like optimize it at all.
I'm not seeing any improvement at all between now and last year. If anything, the large open world maps make the problem even worse. It's not like this game has fantastic graphics anyway. It looks like every other generic Unreal Engine game, and the art style is too stylized for the high resolution textures to even make a difference. The demanding requirements to run Illuvium definitely make it less accessible for the average gamer. I have the second most powerful graphics card on the market. There's really no reason it should ever run.
And he's only getting 80 FPS.
More average specs. I tested the game on another machine, with specs just above the recommended ones. Now, it's practically unplayable on any setting above medium, and it struggles to maintain 60 FPS on the lowest settings. Returning to the tutorial, I'm now being directed towards a sort of base camp, where I learn about crafting.
So yeah, that is this game. I just wanted to show it you because it's so strange. There is another game mode as well. So this guy's pretty good at just playing these games and seeing if how good they are. Let's go to this bit.
Video, I want to take some time to peer into the mind of the Illuvium community. Do they share my opinions on the game?
Yeah, this is what they're buying in the game.
Every day. As with any crypto game, public Illuvium discussion is centralized within their Discord server. Here, investors and players alike share their thoughts and opinions regarding the game's recent beta launch, both positive and negative. The primary point of contention seems to be the game's monetization. A majority of the player base is unhappy with the high costs and poor return on investment, so much so that there is a 500 post long thread where the community discusses how they can convince new people to join. They acknowledge that there is
how can we scam more people so we can make money off them?
The player base is hardly growing at all, which has left nearly all investors in the red as Illuvium prices continually decline. Like with many crypto games, the biggest profits were those of the earliest investors, including the friends and family of the game's founders.
Of course.
These early stage seed sales, private investors were able to purchase tokens at a discount.
This is where things always become real scummy because there's always a pre-seed before public seed, and those pre-seeds normally go to people that have invested, friends and family, and they're the only ones really that make money. It's basically like a pyramid scheme, right? Like the top boys always make the most money, and then everyone else coming in behind them is just kind of trailing behind. Like the top boys make money off everyone else, basically. And that seems to be why most of these go terribly wrong from what I've seen.
Between $1 and $3 each. Considering the token was once valued in the thousands and still hovers around 40.
Yeah, they're always the top. They always get the best deals, and they'll get the best ability to sell to new people. You know.
Insane enough to find it interesting. ILV, the Illuvium crypto token, isn't directly linked to the gameplay. Instead, it's what's considered a governance token, and those who hold it are able to vote on proposals made by the game's leadership. In theory, this allows the players to set the direction and goals of the game's development. Additionally, holders of the ILV token are promised a share of the game's revenue in the form of a dividend. Yes, revenue, not profit. Unfortunately, due to the fact that Illuvium doesn't make much money, revenue distribution has yet to happen. From reading
so no one's making any money.
It seems that they might do the first distribution soon, but there hasn't been any official announcement as of the time I'm writing this.
This was 4 months ago.
ILV token holders
so in the first
currently
3 years, no one has made any money.
$1.3 million. With about 6 million ILV tokens deemed as eligible for revenue distribution, that would equate to about 28 cents per token. This is the equivalent of a savings account with a 0.006% interest. Okay, so it turns turns out that revenue distribution actually just happened the other day while I was editing this, so these numbers are a little bit wrong. The real revenue distribution was about 0.04% return on investment, and the reason for that was they determined that a lot
Even
more
worse.
people were eligible for the rewards than I had estimated. So, congrats. With these numbers in mind, you can understand
Great.
why many of the investors are frustrated at the lack of revenue. Thus, they've volunteered their time to try and rope in new players by any means, as without new blood, the old will never see a profit. This is because Illuvium...
Can you imagine? I love the idea, right, of like going to all of your like long-term friends and you're like, hey, I got this really good game for you to play. You just have to spy like a couple of ether, join us in on this, and I swear you're going to make money, full well knowing that they are not going to make money, and you're just trying to rope them in the hopes that your interest will go up. I feel like this is a sure way to lose long-term friends. How to lose friends really fast. Get them into a scam with you so you can fucking dump on them. That's beautiful.
Crypto games are zero-sum games. The developers always need to make money.
It's so
Otherwise,
dangerous.
the game wouldn't exist. But the players, or investors, also want to make money. That's the only reason they're here in the first place. There is no way in which everyone involved in this situation wins, monetarily. If anyone is making money, it comes at the expense of another. While many would describe this as a Ponzi scheme, I prefer to use the bucket analogy. Imagine that Illuvium is a bucket, and in order to play the game, you need to toss some money into the bucket. Once the bucket is sufficiently filled, the developers will take out however much they need to keep the lights on, because if there isn't enough to do that, then they have to shut down. So immediately we already have a problem. If 10 players put in $1 each, and the developers need to take out $5 to keep the game running, then there's only $5 left in the bucket, but 10 players who want to make a profit. How could that ever work? Currently, almost all alluvials and items on the marketplace sell
Ponzi
below
scheme.
their crafting cost, making playing the
As
game
much as you just
seem
want to say it.
This is due to there being almost no demand for any alluvials, despite the
Okay, so that's Illuvium. Let's see what his top videos are.
cryptocurrency and NFTs.
Let's see what like the one that's done the best. Oh, it was him. Developer's trying to sue me for reviewing his game. Oh. Let's find out what this one
The
is.
developer of the AI-generated ARG game on Steam has declared war on me and other YouTubers through filing false DMCA.
Okay.
I'm looking for 3,024 people is the latest example of the complete lack of quality control for games on Steam.
All right, this is the one.
$15 and is nothing but 250 megabytes of AI-generated text-to-speech voices and Creative Commons assets.
Uh-oh.
Also, the first level can only be completed once the developers sold 3,024 copies of the game, which totals to about $40,000.
I think this is the one that got taken down, right?
No, there's nothing wrong with the video. This is actual gameplay footage. I forgot to mention that the game has no graphics. I'm John, and welcome back to another session of me subjecting myself to mental abuse for your entertainment. Today, I'll be playing a game called I'm Looking for 3,024 People. I'm Looking for 3,024 People is an alternate reality game available on Steam for $15. Can you run?
I'm pretty sure this was the one that got taken down, right? Let's check. Update. Yeah, it was taken down. Thank God for that. That's good. Vote for Steam Awards. Beautiful. The Game Awards showed an AI NFT game this year, by the way. They probably didn't vet it very well, and they posted a full trailer.
Swim and use a shotgun without your eyes? I don't know.
It got caught super fast, though, by the community.
Out of $15? Well, let's find out. If you're not already familiar with the term alternate reality game, they're basically interactive mysteries that combine...
I love ARGs. It's a shame when people take advantage and make fucking ones for money, like shit ones for money.
By doing things like solving ciphers, finding hidden
There's been some
websites,
incredible
and visiting
ARGs.
places in real life. Most importantly, they tend to be free to play, with costs absorbed either through supporting products or through promotional relationships with existing products. So the fact that this game costs $15 is already quite suspicious. Also, that's not the
Hey,
original
Super,
price.
how we
It actually
doing?
started out as a $50 NFT sold on OpenSea. Yeah, you heard me
Of
right.
course.
Originally, the only way to
There's the
participate in
NFT.
this ARG was to purchase a 1 of 3,024 NFT for 0.03.
So we tried this before and it
which was somewhere in
failed.
the ballpark of $50 at the time of these NFTs being listed. The idea behind the game was that only 3,024 people would ever have a chance to play the game, and what better way to enforce artificial scarcity than to arbitrarily limit your game keys via overpriced NFTs. Anyway, the developer of the game went around to a variety of different forums and news sites to spread the word about
Chilling
the game,
for
but
work.
almost
Well, hopefully
entirely
work's good
ignored.
today.
People didn't want to have to buy an NFT to play an ARG, especially not when it costs $50. In response to this lack of response, the developer moved the game to Steam, which is where it started at $20, but it's been now lowered to only $15. So it's pretty obvious right out of the
And
gate
then
that the
down to
developer
10 by
cares
looks
about
of it.
making money first. This is a big no-no in the ARG community, which is probably why nobody seems to care about it at all. But as the host of Dirty Jobs, it's my duty to dive in and dig through this disaster and play it so you don't have to. Make sure to subscribe so YouTube will give me more ad revenue to waste on NFTs. Let's jump right in and get started.
I like that
Launching
he's
the game
spending his
treats us
money
to
in
the
good
following
places.
message. I'm Looking for 3,024 People is an alternate reality game. The chapter you're entering is only a small part of the whole game. Before starting this chapter, we strongly recommend that you exit the game and visit the website below to learn all the details. The first thing that this game asks me to do is to
Is to
not play the
leave.
game. That's a new one.
The first thing it says is to leave.
As I said
That's
before,
so
this
good.
is an ARG, so there's going to be a mystery to solve, and this website has the keys to solve that mystery. Let's check out the video
Here we
under the
go.
tab, The Mission, and listen to our instructions from Frank.
I'll tell you my whole story later. In this video, I will talk about the main subject. I am a computer engineer. After graduating from my department with a first degree in 1974,
1974.
a company that produces advanced technology, the name of which I will not disclose at the moment.
This is hilarious. It's just an AI text-to-speech voice reading a poorly written script full of grammatical errors. If this is supposed to be engaging and draw me into the mystery, it's a total failure. But as a piece of comedy, this is great.
It's a good start.
Everyone has to find these remaining 3 tickets.
The plot of the ARG can basically be summarized as there's a computer that has some secret info on it. The only way to get into it is to have 3,024 people pay Frank $15 to get a code and then do some arbitrary task with that code. What else is on this website? Well, nothing of interest. There's a few folders that are protected by passwords, which you can find in
The
a file
biggest of
labeled
scams.
passwords that just lead to a bunch of pictures. These are supposed to be creepy because they're
If you
old
guys
and
ever
they
want to
Photoshop
go
the
through
eyes
some
out.
good
I tried to find these photos on Google
ARGs,
Images,
then
but
let
I
me
couldn't,
know. We
so
can do
maybe
full
they're
stream of
actually
that.
real
There's some
people.
really,
Oh my
really good
God,
ones.
this is
Even
so
not just
scary.
gaming
There's
ones,
also
but
some
like
live cameras, which are
some
all
like
random locations in
YouTube
Izmir,
ones
Turkey.
and real life
Wow, this
ones.
is
There's
cool.
some
They put up
so
live
good.
cameras and we're supposed to watch these for something to happen. That's awesome. But wait, why
You'd
does
be up
this
for
one have a
that?
little black
Cool.
square?
There's some really,
It's
really
almost
great
like they're
ones.
trying to censor something.
They're
Right-clicking
long
the feed and
videos though,
opening it
so
in
we're
a
gonna
new
be
tab reveals
sitting
that
there
the
for a
person
little
that made
bit.
this site just put a black square over top of this watermark, which after searching for it, led me to a bunch of Turkish government websites. The game's website is just rehosting these live feeds from the Turkish city of Izmir. Is this a mystery? Uncovering just how lazy the person that put
Yeah, I
this
was about
together
to
is?
say.
So far, nothing about this ARG is intriguing.
So you
Also,
just
all the
stole
website's
like
accessible
live
without
streams
even
from his
purchasing
city.
the game on Steam. I've actually done nothing with the game so far besides launch it and then get told to close it. It's time to go back and see what else I can do in the game now that I know my mission. Just kidding. That goofy video barely explained anything. After launching the game again, we now see an interactive menu with 6 different buttons. Clicking on most of these buttons just takes you to another screen that says you cannot access this area. But one of them does something different, the project button. Clicking this takes us to this ominous warning, telling us that we're about to witness a secret experiment. Ooh, scary. This is a blind experiment. Focus on conversations. Experiment tries to distract you. Use headphones. Then you hear some voices. Me describing these wouldn't
I'm
do
gonna
the
regret
game
having
justice,
headphones
so
on for
just
this,
have
I
a listen
think.
yourself.
What's this? Who are you? Are you here?
I'm not there, but I can see you. Stop blocking and start running right away. Get closer.
Why? What is coming?
You want to go back to that place?
No,
My brain this is like poorly translated.
but I don't see anything. Where will I go?
I'll guide you. Now start running straight ahead. Come on, hurry up.
These are all just
Wonderful.
text-to-speech voices. This is the pinnacle of low effort. The voices just give you instructions on how to move, saying
Oh,
go left,
God,
go
my
forward,
brain.
and so on. And you just press those keys on your keyboard. There are no visuals. There is nothing but a black screen. You press the WASD keys to move, and you use sound to tell when you bump into a wall. There's also spooky rain noises and creepy stock
15
music.
bucks, by the
I
way.
could have made this in Unity in about 2 days, with the first day spent making the game, and the second day spent downloading a bunch of assets off of freesound.org. The instructions are unintelligible at some
The
points.
YouTube video is more polished than the game. True.
Also a mess of broken
You probably
English.
spent
This
longer
leads to some
editing this
unintentional
video
hilarious
than the dev made making it.
You may need it. Take it with you.
What? You're leading me on. But you don't know what you're doing.
Just take the key with you.
I gotta like that. Just take the fucking key with you.
Okay, I came.
Are you sure?
I came by just counting 10 steps. What's this?
Huh?
Is it a door?
I came by doing what?
Just counting 10 steps.
Came by just counting 10 steps. Huh?
Door? I think I came right. I have no choice but to open the door. Okay, you son of a bitch. You want me to play this game? I will.
I eventually reached the point at which I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do because they stopped giving me instructions, and I was basically supposed to just wander around blindly, listening to the sound of raindrops to guide me. I didn't want to waste too much time doing this because
so
I didn't want
bad.
to exceed Steam's refund threshold of 2 hours.
Yeah, I was about to
So I
say.
closed the game and headed to the Discord to figure out what happens when you reach the end.
Don't go past
Everything
2
on
hours.
Steam
That's a
is not
dangerous
required to
road.
participate in the Discord server, though. Anyone can
Don't give this guy
join this
15 bucks.
Discord. I learned that after completing the maze, you're rewarded with an image that has 3,024 codes on it. These images can also just be found by opening the game's files and looking at the JPEG, so you don't
Oh, there you
actually have
go.
to do
Easy.
the dumb blind maze thing to get the code. The next step is to pick a code from this list. There's no official claiming system though. You're supposed to coordinate with everyone to ensure that you don't pick the same code as someone else.
Great.
Then at 8 p.m. every Wednesday, a Discord bot will send a message indicating that it's time to enter the codes. You'll then have 10 minutes for 3,024 unique users to send one code each from this image to unlock the next.
This crazy guy thought he could get 3,000 people all on Discord at the same moment within 10 minutes to all put their codes in at the same time every day. We can barely get a Twitch chat to do a poll and they're already in the chat. He was very optimistic on this.
Step of the mystery. If you fail to do this, it resets and you can't try again until the following Wednesday. The catch? Well, you have to have your Steam account linked to your Discord to access this channel, and your Steam account must own the game. So this is the only thing in the Discord that's locked behind the paywall. So therefore, the only way that this would ever work is if 3,024 unique individuals all purchase the game, then they all need to log on at exactly 8 p.m. Pacific time.
Oh, so it's once a
ahead of
week.
time
Oh,
to enter
God.
code in the Discord chat, and they must make no mistakes as they only have 10 minutes to do this. 10 minutes is 600 seconds, and with 3,024 messages, that means that the users must send 5 messages per second for 10 minutes straight in a Discord channel. It's almost impossible to coordinate 25 people to log on at the same
I
time.
know, Jesus Christ. It's hard to get 5 people to play one game together.
Be online from the same 10-minute window, all assigned to a unique code. And they all have to spend $15. Discord can barely handle 30 people sending messages at the same time without crashing the entire server. It definitely can't handle 5 messages per second for 10 minutes straight. So not only would this never work due to the impossible logistical feat of coordinating such a large group of people,
You would
it
crash
never work
Discord.
simply because Discord can't handle that many
Yeah.
users at once.
Discord would have a
Since
fucking
everyone
heart
has to
attack.
spend $15, that means that the developer is guaranteed to get at least $40,000 before the first step of this ARG can even be completed. Do you see how ridiculous this sounds? There's actually a second step that has to be completed as
Easy
well. though.
45K,
One that's
I
actually
guess.
significantly
Wonder how
easier
many
than
he
the one that I
sold.
just described. In the Discord server, there's a bot that's always sitting in a voice channel streaming something. When I went to get footage for the video, though, it seemed that the stream had been broken and there was nothing on screen. But I saw this work a few days ago, but didn't record it. What it's supposed to do is display an image of a computer screen with a bunch of lines on it. On this screen, there's 35 different squares, each of which can be moved a certain number of spaces up by typing the space's corresponding letter in chat. After a few seconds of no messages, though, the squares fall back down to their starting position. So to win, you need to get all of the squares to the top of the screen, basically.
So you
Imagine
need-
Twitch plays Flappy Bird, because
Yeah.
that's literally what this is. A popular Brazilian streamer found this game and was the captain in the largest attempt to solve this puzzle. He led a coordinated effort with his viewers to attempt to complete it, with 35 people in chat trying to control the bot. However, after hours of trying, they were unable to line up every square, because with that many people sending messages in Discord, it was slowing the entire server down.
Yeah.
This meant that by the time that the message had processed, the line had already fallen back down. After hours of trying, they just finally gave up.
So he
The
couldn't
community then
even
began to get
hope
upset
for
and started calling
35
out the developer
people,
for
about
essentially creating a scam, saying that
3,200.
This is impossible. Up to this point, the developer had rarely sent messages in the Discord, but they did chime in to defend themselves. They said, "This is not impossible. We actually were able to get this to work, and we tested it, and you were so close, so keep trying." First of all, you developed an actual game, you know. Why didn't you just put this puzzle inside of the game? Then you wouldn't be rate limited by Discord's terrible servers.
Exactly.
I guess that would require actual work, because you'd need to create a Unity game with networking features. The developer is clearly incapable of even creating visuals, so I doubt that they would be able to figure out how to program something with online features. That's why they're just doing it through a Discord bot. After
'Cause
getting
it's
fed up
easier,
with how
yeah.
impossible it was to coordinate 35 people for the first puzzle, that streamer and his community realized that this was nothing more than a cash grab scam, and they urged everyone to refund the game. I feel bad for this streamer. He was just interested in trying to solve a mystery, and he sort of unintentionally got his community involved in a scam. Luckily, everyone was most likely able to get a refund thanks to Steam's great refund policy. Imagine if this actually used NFTs though, like the original plan. Then, nobody would have been able to get a refund.
Yeah, it
That's
would have been
probably
stuck.
why the developer chose to use NFTs in the first place. Reading through the game's Steam reviews, there's a bunch of positive reviews from accounts that have literally only one game. Also, they have some very strangely high playtimes. Who plays this game for more than 15 minutes?
Who
let
looked at
alone
that
over
page
4
for 10 hours?
Also, over the week that I've been working on this video, I've noticed that the average review seems to teeter between mixed and positive. It's like every time someone leaves a negative
There's no way
review,
he's earning
it
enough
also
money on
counts
this to
as two
pay
fake
for
positive
bots,
reviews.
right?
The few negative reviews all share my thoughts though. This is just a scam for the developers to sell 3,024 copies. The developer also has a post on the game's Steam store page labeled "Watch the Community Play," and it features a bunch of clips of streamers that played this game. They must have forgotten to pre-screen these clips though, because every clip featured here just involves the streamer making fun of the game. They all launch the game,
That's
laugh
so
at
good.
how bad the text-to-speech voices are, look at the website, click around a bit, and say, "This has to be a scam," and then refund the game. There also apparently used to be a tournament for this game where they promised $20,000 in prize.
The 100 fastest. Okay, so I believe he's obviously not English, so ignore the bad translation. The 100 fastest people who finished the "I'm looking for 3,000 to 3,024 people game will receive a total of $20,000 in prizes. The fastest 100 people will have pre-digital bonus codes with $100 value. In the second tournament will be held of 100 people. The first 10 who are the fastest will have a bounce of $1,000 valid on Papara. I don't know what that place is. And the prizes of those who participate and rank from outside Turkey, okay, he's Turkish then, will be sent with USDC. The tournament will be held with 100 finalists and will be held in Istanbul. Those who wish to participate remotely, all winners will be contacted and informed. You need to record a gameplay video of the game, send it in by filing a form below to participate. There's nothing on the game. What do you mean? Just record yourself looking at the page? We know that there's YouTubers, I'm dying, ignore me, that everyone likes. Maybe you came here from them. Write the name of the YouTuber with love and want to support in the form below. Sorry, chat. That bit seems a little sus. Stop coughing. Okay. Him asking for YouTubers that have brought them there, it makes me wonder if he wants to know about negative videos that have been made about him so he can try and get them taken off the platform. Maybe that's just a conspiracy brain, but him going, yeah, let us know all of the YouTubers that brought you here. Please let us know, because we want to give them a sponsorship. Seems a little sus, because he did try to copyright this video, as we know, so.
Prizes. Also, if you were a Twitch streamer or a YouTuber, then you could enter by having other people buy the game and then write your name down in a form. Whoever got their name written down the most would win $1,000. This is the worst ARG I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's physically impossible to complete. It costs $15 to enter, and you're financially encouraged to recruit other people to join it. There's no way that this isn't just a money grab scam created by some dude in Turkey with a few weeks of effort. Not much thought seems to have been put into designing this, and the person that made it advertised heavily. Not only did they contact a bunch of Twitch streamers.
Okay, so let's look at the backlash to this.
ARG game on
We won't watch all of this, we'll watch some of it.
On me and other YouTubers through filing false DMCA takedown notices.
Yeah, see, is what we
This
thought.
guy couldn't get any scummier. He had to take it to the next level. Hello, I'm John, and on this channel,
He just wanted to DMCA every YouTuber that made a bad video.
Scams. A few months ago, I released a video covering a very suspicious game on Steam. Unhappy that I showed proof that his game is nothing but a deceptive cash grab and borderline scam, the developer decided to file a DMCA takedown.
This cleaning game was so big when it came out, by the way. It was crazy.
Right now to also be taken down. I'm not going to show any footage from that video, as the copyright counter notice is still pending. And just to be super certain that this scumbag doesn't copyright strike this video too, I won't even say the name of his game. But in summary,
Did I see British Stalker Adamfall? What, the game Adamfall? Yeah, Mr. Prod played it for a little bit. I remember the sexy fridges. He didn't like it enough to finish it though.
The game in question does not contain.
This is a perfect dad game. Yeah, kind of.
Playing this game,
a lot of streamers were playing this when waiting in queues for matches.
Some Google translated AI generated voices giving you instructions such as press forward 2 times or press right 6 times. These instructions are nearly impossible to follow though, since the AI generated voices are so bad you can barely understand.
I guess he's just gonna go over the game again.
Sound effects included in the game, which the developer just downloaded straight from. To remove your video without getting a warning.
Oh, here we go. Here's where the drama kicks in. Okay.
Anyway, they continue. This was a situation we made a difficult decision as a team. Whoa. Yeah, English is obviously not their first language, so this is a tough.
A team, one guy.
Your video arouses people's curiosity and they try the game. That's why we requested to remove your video without getting a warning from YouTube, and we gave you 7 days. If we were wrong about the DMCA, YouTube wouldn't allow it. In this process, they approved by asking us for trademark registration information. They don't ask why we demand this. They just want our trademark registration information. This is the funniest part of the email.
It's a bot, though.
Saying, if it was a crime, then nobody would have let us do it.
Yeah.
So sure
if it's a crime, the bot would have said no.
Where this developer is from, but I'm pretty sure
Not
that
quite.
even there, the police don't just sit at your door all day waiting for you to commit crimes. Just because nobody stopped you from committing said crime doesn't mean that it's illegal to do whatever crime you just did. Continuing in the developer's words, we think that we will not encounter content that does not reflect any other truth made by you or helped by you in the future on any platform. If this continues, we will have to protect our brand and we will resort to legal means, albeit unwillingly. We keep a backup video for proof. We have a larger community that already owns the game, plays.
We're keeping your video as evidence.
And has no issues with the game. It is our duty to protect this community as well. We would like to point
Oh,
out
I'm not thinking of Amphor then, Weasel. What was the game chat with the sexy fridges that came out a year or so ago?
In case of a policy violation, the game would have not been released anyway. Again, they're basically
Is Amphor from...
somebody would have stopped us.
What's it
It's
name?
well known that the quality control measures in place for the major game distributors are lacking, to say the least. Steam just wants their $100 fee and their 30% cut. They don't really care if your game is full of stolen assets unless someone causes us think about it. Which, for a perfect example, we can look at the game Only Up when it was removed from Steam. The game was on Steam for
Is Amphor from, what's it named,
that
devs?
it had some stolen assets. Only then was it taken down until the stolen assets were removed. You could say that these platforms operate with reactive punishment, not proactive, which makes sense because of the sheer volume of games being uploaded every day. They don't have time to play every single one of them. As you know, if you feed a society with evil, evil grows. If you feed it with good, good grows. This depends entirely on the leader's preference. Your audience who takes action with your misdirection is
Rebellion
committing a crime by
developments. Maybe it's not the people I was thinking about.
We take note of those who continue this. We will initiate the judicial process when necessary. I mean, this part's just hilarious. I'm the evil one for exposing your scam? Definitely. If you have a question about the game or the situation, you can ask without hesitation. Again, this is funny to me since I emailed them multiple times.
Sorry, loud noises.
Trying to prevent this whole situation, and they completely ignored.
So the guys making Amphor did fucking Sniper Elite,
Find
apparently.
myself getting banned and blocked.
It's a
Sincerely,
comforting sign.
The fake name again. So far, we've confirmed at least one other YouTuber who.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of Atomic Heart, I think.
Fake takedown notices. And the craziest part of this is that that guy didn't even have any commentary on his video. His channel is just strictly no commentary gameplay footage of a ton of games on Steam. So this makes me think that the developers don't want anyone to see what the game actually looks like, because otherwise nobody would buy it. Like I said, the game
drama.
has no visuals and it's just a black.
When was
screen
this?
with
A year ago.
AI voices.
Well, luckily this guy's game is long gone. You guys enjoying the power washing? Sorry, shall I just leave him on for you guys to watch for a little bit? But I think we've got everything from this video. Drama, drama, drama.
Cryptocurrency and NFT.
We'll have to keep an eye out. I bet that developer will try to do that again. You know what I mean? All right, let's do one more really bad one. Okay, let's go look at this stupid banana game. Last crypto game for now.
The fourth most played game on Steam was
This was
called Banana.
huge this year,
you
and
can
it's
call
so
that, first
stupid.
appeared on the storefront in
I hate
April,
it.
But in less than 60 days, it now ranks among the all-time highest player counts on the platform. Knowing this, you might be wondering, what's the deal? Is this some sort of scam? Is this
Yes, it's a
simply
scam.
Bitcoin miner? And why are so many people playing the game? In order to answer these questions, I did a deep dive into Banana and the team behind it. And unsurprisingly,
Is this game still
gimmick
up?
of a game
I bet
isn't
it
as
is,
wholesome
right?
as it might seem. Let's get started. Banana makes no effort in selling itself to potential players. The trailer and screenshots on the Steam store page leave nothing to the imagination. The game
Yeah,
is
it's still
hardly
up.
more than a bare bones Unity project featuring an image of a banana. Each time you click on banana, the number on screen increases by 1.
This game has 85k positive reviews, chat. 85. 85k. Oh, I hate people. I hate people.
This number
I hate
is not
humans.
saved between play sessions, so you have to keep the game running at all times if you wanted to maintain your score.
85K.
Unlike other clicker games like Cookie Clicker, there are no
Need to
upgrades
cigar
or
after
additional
that.
features to add a sense of progression. The real draw here, as expected, is money. Banana is a free-to-play game. However,
she's
it features
coming.
Steam Community Marketplace integration.
big
This is the
stretch.
same system used by Counter-Strike and Dota 2, and it allows players to buy and sell in-game items using currency from their Steam wallets. In Banana, players are rewarded a random item from the game's collection every few hours, just for leaving the game open. These
You gonna
items
come
are
sit
all
down?
slightly modified images of the same banana. Each one can be sold on the Steam Marketplace, and while most
I think
of
she
them
wants to
only go
sneeze on my
for
face,
cents,
to be
some
honest.
are worth tens of dollars. In total, there are about 100 variations of bananas. But
I wonder how many
there are
bananas
more
there is
every
now.
2 days. With just
We'll have a
this
look in a
approach, we
minute.
can already tell exactly why this game has become so popular. Hundreds of thousands of players, most of which are multi-boxers or bots, leave the game running in hopes of receiving a rare banana. Then they aim to list it on the marketplace to get some Steam currency. But what exactly is the point of collecting these bananas? Well, similar to everyone's other favorite JPEG collectible, the only reason for hoarding bananas is for bragging rights. But unlike NFTs, this game doesn't use the energy equivalent
Can you imagine
of
being
small
one of the guys that
contracts
hoards
or
bananas?
transactions, so they can't be hurting anyone.
What a
right?
sick hobby.
The game itself is exceedingly simple, made using the free version of Unity. It contains 2 asset packs, Layer Labs' The Stone and Bradis's Steam Libraries. The Stone is a simple user interface, and the Steam Libraries asset just enables item drops. The only actions you can perform in-game are clicking on banana, changing the resolution,
Okay,
or
she just wants to
opening
be cute
Steam
for the camera, I
Marketplace.
think.
Despite the absolute simplicity of the program, it's received thousands of positive reviews, most of which are banal jokes jokes or memes related to bananas. However, when sorting through the litany of negative reviews, some more serious accusations are raised. Notably, many call this game a crypto miner or a keylogger, but these are common claims levied against any suspicious game on Steam, so I take these with a grain of salt. Regardless, it's best to do some research of our own, just to be safe. Thus began my attempts to reverse engineer Banana. Banana is a game made in Unity, an engine with which I have some experience. Using open source tools, you can reverse engineer the game's compiled C++ code. After a brief review, I couldn't really find anything outwardly suspicious. The game's 60 megabytes.
Okay, so it isn't mining with your PC. It's a good sign, at least.
Those are item drop check, update money, and full screen toggle. These do exactly as you would expect, and they account for all three of the game's features. The next obvious thing to check would be web traffic. If they were actually collecting user data, as some suspect, then we would likely see some evidence of the game connecting to a remote server. Web traffic can be monitored through a variety of methods, but I just used Wireshark and the Windows command netstat. I'm not going to be showing my results on screen since it would just reveal my IP address, but the actual Banana game doesn't appear to contribute to web traffic at all. You don't even need Steam running to launch the game, and it works just fine when the internet connection is terminated. Any online aspect
So how does it even do anything?
With Steam. Banana just tells Steam whenever a certain amount of time's passed and a random item is given to the player. That's it. You only need to click once every 3 hours to be marked as an active user. These Banana rewards are distributed on a fixed
You
interval,
just stay
as
there and
explained
just
by
click it
Bob
every
in
3
the
hours.
Discord server. By
Great.
opening the game and playing for up to 3 minutes, after that the game checks every 3 minutes if you are eligible for a drop. The game drops a banana every 3 and 18 hours. Just
You didn't
to
see
confirm
that. She
once it
stretched and
resumes
nearly
time
fell.
frames. The
She's
programming
down.
of this
She's
message is a
gone.
bit confusing, but I left
Gone.
the game running for
Gone,
about
gone.
10 minutes and received 3 banana items in my inventory. There's a chance you'll receive a banana every 3 minutes, with a guaranteed one every 3 and 18
And she left
hours.
cat hair
The
all over
18-hour
my
banana
face.
is supposed to be a rare one, although without any way to know the actual numbers behind these drops, who knows how rare it actually is. Additionally, because of how the Steam inventory system works, the developer does have the power to manually generate items for users. So who's to say that they aren't just
The
creating
DVD
rarest
banana.
bananas and giving them to their friends? To conclude this section, there doesn't appear to be anything obviously malicious going on within the game's code. It's an extremely simple Unity project that probably took no longer than a day's worth of work to put.
Alright. While he's doing this. Cursor. Do your job. Pop that there.
Together. However, due to the nature of Steam items, there's no way for players to know the true drop rates behind the different bananas. Since the sole purpose of this game is to obtain said bananas, let's talk about those next.
I wanna
There are
see
two types of bananas, common and rare.
the
Most of
bananas.
them are awarded through time drops,
I'm
but there
assuming
are
it's
some
in the
exceptions.
workshop.
There are currently 5 bananas that can be purchased directly from the developer on the game's item store page. These each cost 25 cents, and the bananas available here rotate out on an unknown schedule. The appeal of this for collectors is that they might one day
So
become worth
many.
a lot of money once they're removed from the store. And for the developers, well, it's a consistent source of income. With every single banana being a Steam marketplace item, they can all be
So these are the current bananas. What is that? So I think these are the ones that they're trying to get onto the workshop. Sorry, there's a cat. I sensed her. I guess maybe we... Oh, there we go. Bananas collections? Yeah, okay. Let's go by most popular. I guess I can only do it today. I guess at least they're getting slightly unique. But, yeah. I wonder how many people have... Well, I guess people are generally just botting this, right? They're just leaving it on as long as possible in the hopes that they can maybe make some money. Let's see if any of these reviews have, like, ridiculously long times. What if you can see? Playtime. Okay. Let's go... Let's just go over 100. 1,570 hours recorded. 847 hours. 1,621 hours. The banana grind is real. People are still doing this. This is crazy. This is like December 29th of this year. 500 hours. Has anyone even made any money on this? Advice for sellers down below. Oh, here we go. If you buy something that's worth like 10C and selling, well, like one a day, and not a lot of sellers put it up for a few cent more. If there's no sellers like 3 or 5C, and if people are going higher, check every day once it slows down, or get around 30. So people are earning like 30 cents max per banana for what this guy is saying. So worth it. You're probably spending more in electricity to run this game, right? Than you would be over time actually, you know, making money. So that's the banana one. Beautiful and a mess. But I wanted to show you at least a couple of these silly NFT games. And who knows, maybe one day we'll get one that isn't a pile of shit. But so far, we have not had that. There's a storyline in Honkai Star Rail which has a memnic brain virus of a banana and a monkey epidemic happening. Well, hey, at least it's something interesting. Oh yeah, this thing doesn't let me have my ad blocker. All right, let's go into some more depressing stuff. And then we'll end on some Ubisoft drama. All right, this one went live a couple of days ago. I'm a little late. Sorry, chat. Horrific abuse of workers at Indonesian external development studio revealed in new report. So before we go into this, let's have a look at the company and what exactly they have helped with. And then we'll go into the things that have happened. I'm not going to be able to find share, am I? That looks like Black Myth, to be honest. So these guys do, like, you know, assets for games. They've done lots of Warner. So they've worked for a lot of huge companies. What are those? Project The Whole. Ominous. So yeah, these guys do a lot of like art assets for other companies. Including Age of Empires and Assassin's Creed. Death Stranding could be for the new one. Yeah, maybe. All right, let's look into this report. A new report from People Make Games has detailed disturbing allegations of abuse towards employees at the Indonesian studio Branoville, a company used for art and animation support in games such as Age of Empires 4 and Assassin's Creed Shadow. In 2021, People Make Games reported on crunch culture and industry reliance on outsourcing to external developers in order to meet deadlines. Brandeville Studios was one of such developers. Little has changed in the industry since this report, but Brandeville's closure a few months ago has led its developers to now share further stories on its experiences as a studio. At the centre of this report is Krista Sidney, who worked at the company from 2019 to 2024, and says that she was subject to mental and physical abuse by the commissioner and the commissioner's wife, who ran the day-to-day operations. That's scary. You can tell that she's a scary person. The full report can be watched below in this video. All right, let's hope this isn't too... It's long. Oh my god, it's 50 minutes long. Okay, let's read the article first. Hello. Opera. Opera died on me. Give me a second. Hello, Kato the cat. Okay, it's good. Touching that video was bad for Opera then. Hello, Kato the cat. Are you coming on my lap? Or do you think, maybe? All right, let's finish reading the article. We'll maybe watch a bit of that video. Sydney describes how Cherry Lau took her under her wing following a dispute early in her career, but has led to toxic abuse. Initially, Lau imposed a strict working schedule on employees and would purposely divide employees through gossip and demeaning words. Sydney was actually part of People Make Games' previous report, but says she was later forced by Lau to film a statement of support for Brandeville against her will. Other employees felt that she was being brainwashed. Sydney now says that there was continuous abuse by Lau, including during a work trip to XDS 22 conference, where Lau micromanaged her time and allowed her to sleep for a few minutes over the course of 4 days, wow, leading up to the event. Further abuse included imposing daily Christian workshops, forcing Sydney to write lines like a school child, daily check-ins over WhatsApp of her outfits as part of quality control, and humiliating her in front of colleagues. Eventually, Lau's abuse became physical, supporting Sydney to film herself slapping her face 100 times as punishment or hitting her head against the door frame until she was concussed before forcing an apology. That is wild. Another employee, Kaiseron Balthazar, that's an epic name, had an agreement with Lau where she would take part of his salary to assist with his spending habits. This led to her, in Balthazar's world, stealing an amount of money equating to a monthly salary. Additionally, Balthazar said that he was told he owed money for extensive training programs he hadn't yet taken when he tried to leave the company. A third employee, I'm going to absolutely butcher that name, and I'm not going to do it to myself, also said that she was abused by Lau during her time at Brandoville from 2019 to 2024. When she fell pregnant, she was repeatedly overworked. At one point during the pregnancy, she was taken to hospital due to illness, but was still asked to come into the office and work, to which she declined. Her son was born 2 months prematurely and sadly died 4 months in intensive care. However, Lau still expected her to work and provide no sympathy of support from the company. What absolute craziness. And let's be honest, the stress of her pregnancy, no wonder things didn't go very well. In August 2024, Brandoville Studios went into liquidation. Thank God, by the sounds of it. Though Cherry and Keng Lau convinced a handful of employees to stay and begin a new company called Lau Lau Studios. Sydney was one such employee, but says she was subsequently subjected to direct physical violence from Cherry Lau on multiple occasions. Sydney was eventually escapes and complied evidence against her. Media reports in Indonesia went viral, which led to a police investigation. This was required due to the local phrase, no viol, no justice, stemming from mistrust in the police. In response to the allegations, Cherry Lau issued a statement to People Makes Game, bizarrely stating, "To me, my part of this story is not important, as long as my team are good and safe now." However, further discussion was declined. It's kind of a cop-out statement. Other employees claimed Ken and Cherry both were big. Ken Lau was Cherry's biggest enabler, and should have done more to stop this abuse. Sidney and others, however, said they believed Ken is yet another victim of Cherry's abuse, and his silence comes from a place of fear. This report concludes by noting how the treatment of outsourced workers goes largely unnoticed and unremarked upon the video game industry due to its discomforting discussions of outsourcing work, despite it being a crucial part of the gaming development. Eurogamer has contacted Microsoft and Ubisoft, but they have not given a single statement. I am assuming that these guys have worked for some very, very big companies. I could not find a full list, but it'd be interesting if anyone does make a statement over time. I guess it's obviously not those big companies' fault, right? I'm just looking on the site. But at the same time, you would assume and hope that they would, at least do some kind of checking of companies that they're working with to see if they've ever had any issues before, Games they worked on. Let's have a look. Obviously a lot of Ubisoft by the sound of it. So they worked on The Last of Us, at least. But unfortunately, all the articles right now are all about this drama. Unfortunately. But yeah, by the sounds of it, they've at least worked for Microsoft, Ubisoft, and Sony. So you can assume that they were raking in quite a lot of cash. And just no one was checking in on the company to see how it was going. Absolutely wild. I wonder how this police investigation is going. I wonder if anything will happen with that. We will definitely try and keep up with this one. But what a terrifying thing to find out. I can have a look. Studios, police investigation. Let's see. Any updates? So this was September. I'll just have a quick thing. Studio. Oh, there we go. Uh-oh. Bad news, chat. I see the dreaded word. Okay. Brandenville Studios, an animation company based in Meng, Central Jakarta. I said that so badly. Is facing serious legal scrutiny after investigators revealed several labor law violations. Authorities are now investigating. Authorities now searching for the Hong Kong national and head of studio as they continue to investigate the allegations. The studio also has a branch in Hong Kong and has been involved in several high-project AAA games such as NBA 2K17, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Dark Souls 3, The Last of Us, StarCraft, Mortal Kombat, and Uncharted. There it is. And they also said Age of Empires earlier and the Assassin's Creed series. So yeah, they've worked with a lot of big companies. The investigator reveals that Brandenville Studios had not compensated employees for overtime work and had failed to report its additional branches. We'll be coordinating with police to address these violations. The police are currently searching for Sherry. This was September this year, so we'll see if I'm assuming they found it by now. Indicating that Lau is a key subject in this case, and they were still looking for them in September. The allegations against Brandenville Studios gained widespread attention after a former employee identified as CS shared a harrowing experience on social media, claiming of all the abuse is what we just saw now. So I guess the case was more about not paying staff. And I guess they could add in the abuse on top of that. But it doesn't seem that there's been an update on that police report from September. It does look like Ubisoft have said something, though. Ubisoft said it is deeply disturbed by abuse allegations at Support Studio. We are deeply disturbed by the recent reports surrounding Brandenville Studios, a Ubisoft spokesman told Eurogamer. We strongly condemn all forms of abuse and our thoughts with the affected employees. Great. I guess at least they've said something. And then, yeah, it says down here, Ubi, Xbox, Sony, Naughty Dog, Disney, Warner Brothers, Sega, Relic, ZeniMax, NetEast, and more. Oh, this company was huge. How much were they worth? You know what I mean? Let's have a look. What if it'll stay? Roger Studio. Not network, net worth. It's so hard when there's drama happening with goddamn Google. It's like, no, you want to read the drama, right? I'm like, not really. I'd like to see that net worth. Who knows? I'm assuming they were doing pretty damn good for themselves, right? Hey, Swedish, how you doing? And yeah, I've been doing gaming news for just a little bit. Damn. I guess we'll keep updated on this one. And we will see 1,100 employees. We'll see what happens with this one. We could watch a bit of that video. I'm not sure if you guys really want to go through too much of it. But we can have a little look. You're miserable. You're not going to want to hear this then, because it's going to make you way more miserable. We're on depressing gaming news right now. Only depressing from here.
Games industry this year and cemented itself as one of the very worst scandals.
All right, let's have a look at the bit of this video.
That's exactly what would have happened had the people involved lived and worked in California or in Paris or in Tokyo rather than in Jakarta. Instead, outside of Southeast Asia, it's like nothing has even happened. Today we're going to try and do our best to remedy that, but first I need to provide you with a significant list of content warnings and just say to you that the stories you're going to hear today are at times really unpleasant.
We'll go through some of this.
The reason we're sharing them is because the people involved want as many of you to see and hear what they went through as possible.
Okay.
In early September, I was sent video footage of an Indonesian game artist called Krista Sydney slapping herself across the face 100 times. With her permission, I'm going to play a very short section of that video.
What a
here,
crazy thing.
To warn you that it's distressing to watch.
For your boss to make you do that, by the way.
Now, the reason I was sent that footage was because back in 2021, I'd actually spoken to Krista Sydney about her job and her relationship with her employers for a story I was working on about outsourced labour in the video games industry. She told me back then that everything was going really great, which was surprising to me because it didn't exactly line up with what I'd heard from many of her co-workers who felt exhausted and overworked.
So she was completely terrified, I guess, at that point to say anything.
Had been suffering in a way I could not have even imagined at the time. Because that video you just watched a very short clip from, Krista claims to have recorded that and then sent it to her boss as a punishment for not having performed well enough at work. And as extreme as that video is, it's really just the razor-sharp tip of a much larger iceberg in which Krista and some of her colleagues were subjected to years of abuse at the hands of an employer who was able to control and manipulate almost every aspect of their lives.
For the whole week, like, I wasn't allowed to sleep.
For me at the time, it was like scary, lonely.
She wanted me to take a picture of like the blood in my mouth.
She was like, don't look at her. You'll have to be strong. Don't show your empathy towards her. It was really scary.
The wooden frame of the door, like I had to like hit my head like as hard as possible. I had like
wild
concussion-like symptoms.
But before we can begin to understand all of that, let me very quickly get you up to speed with that first story I reported.
And more depressing news to lift your spirits. Well,
4 years ago.
We need to be.
2021, people make games.
We need to be aware of all the good and bad that happens in the world. We can't just ignore all the bad. The more that this stuff gets brought out and the more that people know about it, hopefully we can prevent it in the future, you know?
Published a video titled How Game Publishers Buy Crunch Overseas. We'd wanted to investigate a part of game development that typically gets very, very little attention from the media.
What a wild thing, by the way. He goes in wanting to talk about crunch, probably goes to the biggest outsourcing company at the time, just thinking that he'd be able to talk about how much hours they're putting in, and ends up finding this like whole massive abuse system. That's like absolutely wild. I can't even imagine.
And so we told the story of two game studios which most of our audience had never heard of before, despite their contributions to games like The Last of Us, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Gears of War 4, and Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Damn, they've worked for so much.
Lemon Sky Studios based in Malaysia and Brandeville Studios based in Indonesia are what people in the business of making games call external developers, or maybe outsourcers. This means they get hired by clients like Naughty Dog or the Coalition or whoever it may be to create, in this case, art assets that will be then used for their games. It costs an awful lot less to hire a game artist in Kuala Lumpur than it does in, say, Vancouver.
I wonder how much they were actually being paid. Maybe he'll say.
Huge role in how games are actually made. But as our reporting uncovered, the potential for exploitation here is significant. We found that employees at each of these companies were routinely expected to work long stretches of unpaid overtime at the expense of their health. We're talking weeks
unpaid, dun.
Of artists sleeping in the office, working weekends, and late into the night in order to meet deadlines.
Ganon thing for the 23 months.
Otherwise. Here's my closing line from that video back in 2021. And at some point, if that keeps on happening, then crunch culture is no longer an unfortunate side effect of the business. It is in fact the product that's being purchased. So yeah, we published our investigation and well, not much changed really. Publicly at least, I think the most consequential thing I saw happen in its aftermath was a panel at an event called the External Developers Summit, which had been put together in direct response to our reporting. It was called...
Off topic, but I kind of want to get a standing table for streaming. You see it just above me. And get one of the little walking treadmills.
which we put together
So good
in
for exercise.
response to our reporting. It was called Let's Talk About Crunch. And in fact, one of the bosses of the two studios, Ken Lai of Brandeville, was actually invited to take part.
Oh, there he is.
Although, do you know who wasn't invited? Literally anybody who could speak to the actual experiences of the actual workers doing the actual crunch that we'd just uncovered. All they really seem able to do is ask someone like Ken Lai, is there much crunch happening at your company? And he's like, no, there's not.
Of course he was, yeah.
I don't agree that developers sell the crunch to Southeast Asia. Instead, the developer is the key to bring the great value to these two countries.
And nobody challenges him on this, despite our reporting having shone the spotlight on employees who said they spent months working at that office until 3 a.m. in the morning. Or one put it quite bluntly that, and I quote, "You are not treated as human." For the next 3 years, both Lemon Sky and Brandeville Studios continued on, and the games industry continued to rely on their services in order to ship its games, without, as far as I can tell, any meaningful push to improve the working conditions.
Oh, I guess why would they make the conditions better unless they were forced to, you know, sadly.
A few months ago when news broke that Brandeville had shut down, and that moment would prove to be the catalyst for its former employees to rush forward.
I will just pep in a minute with the comment. Swedish, I think your first year in university/college is meant to be the easiest year, right, chat? Just from experience. It should be the easiest year. If you're getting stressed, definitely talk to teachers. Don't just, you know, suffer alone. But yeah, it's meant to be the year that, yeah, the first year is meant to be for getting you acclaimed to being in that environment. There's going to be exams and stuff, but it's meant to be the easiest year. It only gets harder from then, you know? But yeah, just talk to your teachers if you're struggling. Don't suffer alone.
And share the true
Yeah, I know it depends on degrees, but normally first year is obviously going to be the calmer of the years.
Was Krista Sidney and her story.
So if you're struggling now, definitely talk to people. Don't
So
just
I
struggle
joined the
alone.
company in February 2019. I applied as a concept artist but didn't pass the portfolio at the time.
Krista was instead offered a marketing position, which she accepted, but things got off to a rocky start after she'd raised her voice to the company.
I want to see what this Sherry looks like, by the way. Or if we're going to see her.
Business cards had been printed, and given she was still on probation at the time,
You're fucked then? No, reach out to your teachers, Swedish. Listen.
But it wasn't actually Ken Lai who would make that decision. It was his wife, Cherry Lai, who ran the
Wait, go and talk to your teachers. Don't just fucking fail and go, well, fuck it. Go talk to people. Go get help. They will be helpful. That's what they're there for. That's what they're trained for.
She said that God talked to her.
You're not alone. Just talk
And
to
so
the
she said
teachers.
She's going to take me under her wing and give me like 2 weeks to prove myself.
Krista describes this new relationship between herself and Cherry as something resembling a mentorship, at least to begin with.
Oh yeah, I was about to say.
If anything, because
Grooming
I was
sounds
in
more
such
like.
a vulnerable position. I was like very grateful that
We'll listen to her story, but we won't go too far into the other lady because the other lady's a real sad story.
COVID pandemic, and as Krista and several of her co-workers moved into the studio itself to live there full time. It's worth quickly understanding just a little about the building where all of this is happening.
They were living there full time? No wonder they were scared of saying anything.
Working either on the first or the second floor of these offices. Then on the ground floor, you've got a lobby and reception area, as you might expect, but also a set of dorm rooms, which house a select few employees
Wow.
who've been invited to not just work here, but live here as well. And
That's
they're
crazy.
Not the only ones, because 3 floors above them is a bedroom belonging to Ken and Cherry Lai.
Oh my God, they live with
Several of
them.
the employees who lived here during that period have told me that Cherry Lai developed a strict schedule for the way in which they were meant to use their time each day.
5:30 a.m. we need to wake up and then like pray to God, and then like 6 a.m. we need to like go do our exercise, and then 8 a.m. shower, 9 a.m. be at the office. And
Wow.
even, like,
Crazy.
what time we need to drink water. Like she also like put it like in the schedule, and then what time we.
One of these guys didn't
eat,
leave
what time we go to bed,
until they were like kind of
set the
forced
kind of
to,
thing.
That
completely
schedule also
controlled.
included a weekly prayer meeting, which employees told me was considered mandatory. It was also a Christian prayer meeting because Cherry Lai is Christian. But Their employees weren't, not necessarily. In fact, the vast majority of Indonesians identify as Muslim, and these particular employees practiced a range of different religions at the time, but the mandatory prayer meeting they needed to attend was always Christian. Cherry's relationship with certain staff members during this period also became increasingly personal.
Here we go. This is where it starts getting crazy.
Like Cherry started to like divide us.
When Krista first moved to the studio, she shared her dorm room with another employee called Elenda, and the two of them had actually been close ever since their college days together. This was until, according to Krista and other employees I've spoken to, Cherry took an active interest in their relationship.
She started to gossip about Elenda to me, started to like try to get me to...
Trying to separate them all.
She told me that, oh, like you and I, we're the same, like we're like popular girls, and then like Elenda is like more of a nerdy girl. But like before that, like we never had like any problem with each other.
Several former employees told me that they believed Cherry intentionally meddled in the personal relationships of her staff, and that this was especially true for women.
She has like this Excel sheet, like the list of like the people she considers like her friends in her life.
Who does an Excel sheet on their friends?
So it made me like felt special at the time.
I guess she did it generally just to convince these girls.
At odds with the way
That's crazy.
Cherry would criticize and discipline Krista and other employees during the workday.
Let's say if I make a mistake and then she will scold me publicly. Sometimes, if she really feels angry or whatever, she would just call names.
Wild.
Maybe like stupid, you piece of shit, you bitch. Yeah, all those kind of words. And then privately, she will say something like, you know, I spoke to you publicly so people don't attack you, but actually you are fine.
When the former Brandeville employees
Crazy.
came forward with their stories in early September, they came with...
Delete me from all your spreadsheets. No, cream cheese.
already on social media, while others have been sent to Be Point Games as part of our own investigation. And as a result of that, I've now read through hundreds of messages which employees say Cherry sent to them either privately or in group chats with other staff members. And these messages show her regularly threatening to fire her employees for the smallest perceived mistakes, or using language that is totally demeaning and inappropriate. These messages paint a picture of an
Hello, where is the work? These are all like these are the same seconds, by the way. Where is the work? It's just like write a card or email. You make it making a life thing. Really, garbage seems like never will be garbage. The English is bad. Your parents did only one thing, didn't tell you the truth about how bad you are, and didn't screw and hit you to hell enough. Make you a loser, totally. Oh my god, this woman is wild.
Easily irritated and
can you imagine your boss not only treating you like this, but also like pinning you against everyone else, and then you living in the actual building and being there 24 hours? That's wild. You're like completely dependent on these people.
Erratic leader who expects and often receives complete subservience from her employees, who she
So sad.
in turn then micromanages to an extreme. Despite Krista often receiving the very worst of this attention, she and a few other employees...
Yeah, it's just you're just trapped, right? Like, what do you do? You leave your job, you're also homeless.
They were seen as being utterly devoted to Cherry.
All of us know that Krista is struggling. One of my friends mentioned that Krista cries several times after being scolded like this, but she still becomes Cherry's loyalist. She and
of course, because she can't not be.
Brainwashed by Cherry.
They did not like me at all. If they do something wrong, I probably tell it directly to Cherry.
Selling your soul to the demon. Yeah, and you don't even know, right, before you get there.
It's like most of people hate me.
It's more realizing later on once you're already trapped that you're stuck there.
Yeah, so she's always like convinced me and like other people actually that you know, like family and friends, like they're just like your burden. Like if you want to succeed, like you have to basically like set them aside.
For me at the time, it was like
she was trying to almost like telling you to not talk to your friends and family and all that kind of stuff. I guess she's doing that because she knows friends and family would tell them how bad the situation is, but it's almost like cult behavior, right? Yeah, it's like this is basically like what a cult leader does to their people. You bring them in, you isolate them, You turn them against their friends and family. You convince them that the other people in the group are also not trustworthy, and the only trustworthy person is the one at the top. And then you just do that over and over and over until they all get stuck under your like weave. What a wild thing to find. It makes you think, is there any other studios like this, or is it just this Sherry is just, I guess, obsessed with power? They said they had up to 100 employees, by the way.
I didn't have
100 employees
to talk to. I didn't feel like I don't have any friends. I cannot trust anyone, even like probably my family.
I mentioned earlier that as part of our reporting on crunch conditions at Branderville, I'd first contacted Krista back in 2021, where she told me, and I quote, "I know some people say this place is tough to work at, and I agree, it's a very disciplined company, which is why I think it's great, because as an artist, we tend to let bad habits like slacking off get the better of us.
Damn.
I love the fact that they accepted us no matter where we're from and who we are, so I'm happy to say it's also a very woman-friendly environment." Krista has since told me that
I'm sure
this
Sherry
whole
wrote that.
exchange that we had been dictated to her by Cherry Live.
Yeah.
But perhaps the more surprising revelation, for me anyway, was that in the aftermath of our video having been published, Krista actually recorded her own video in defense of Branderville Studios, which was then shared with organizations like the External Developer Summit, who she told me was threatening to blacklist Branderville from the event going forwards because of what our reporting had uncovered. And in this video, Krista is visibly overcome with emotion about how much Branderville means to her and how thankful she is to both Ken
Yeah,
and
because she was
Cherry Wright.
scared.
Even my family, they know how life-changing it has been for me to work here. They saw me, like, you know, my mom has seen me change. It really touches me when I saw like how much my mom supports me working here. It's something that is very special for me.
This video was later shown to other employees at Branderville, some of whom remember feeling extremely uncomfortable as they watched it.
Even at that time where Cherry showed us that video, Krista is really proud and was tearing up too, because she was like, "Yeah, I'm doing that gladly, Mrs. Cherry," something like that. And then we're like, "Okay, girl, you need help. You need help, but you don't know."
We asked the representative
That's
from
interesting.
SDS
Like she
if they
had
remember
picked
seeing
her
this video,
favorite by the
and
sounds of
here's
it.
the response I got from its executive director. "I do remember seeing that video, but I don't believe it was sent to XDS directly. I think a colleague shared it with me at the time. And yes, I think you're right that we didn't know what was truly happening at Brandenville, which may have been the reason we gave Ken Lai a platform to address the issues of crunch. I'm sorry to hear the situation has worsened, and I do think it's a good thing that you're shedding light in order to mitigate this from happening at
When
other
was this
studios.
video made?
The situation has worsened is
5 days ago.
one way to put it. I think it's worth reminding ourselves here that this was an outsourcing company for the video games industry, because I think as we need to delve into some of the more coercive and violent behavior happening behind closed doors, it might be easy to lose sight of that. But
Crazy.
to be clear, Branderville Studios, since we last reported on its crunch in 2021, has contributed to games like Age of Empires 4, as well as the now cancelled sci-fi project from Deviation Games before it shut down earlier this year, and even Ubisoft's upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Which is never going to come out at this rate.
Krista recalls a turning point being the next External Developer Summit that took place that year in Canada, and that she would be attending in person along with Ken, Cherry, and several colleagues.
Ooh.
And she told me to keep being awake. I wasn't allowed to sleep. So like for the whole week, like I wasn't allowed to sleep. I had to like work with her. She was like really micromanaging everything.
That's wild.
I had to like work while I had like a Google Meet on, and then like share my screen so she can monitor if I'm like asleep or not.
Krista told me that Cherry seemed to require very little sleep herself, and sometimes she would expect the same from her employees. But this was on a whole different level.
There's not
She also
needing much
clarified
sleep,
that
and then there's
she took
forcing an
about a week
employee to stay awake for
there,
like 5
four-day
days.
stretch building up to the flight over to Canada, and I asked her during those 4 days how much in total she thinks she slept.
Probably like a couple of minutes. I took like some 5-minute breaks to the toilet. I think like the first time I finally slept was on the plane.
And at the event itself,
Crazy.
there was a problem.
So we took a group picture like at XDS to like send to Cherry, because like her legs were like so swollen from not sleeping that she couldn't attend the event. It just so happened that I was standing in the
This
middle
woman sounds
of the
crazy.
picture, and then Kenlai was standing like in the corner, and she got like really mad. She told me that, oh, like you stood in the middle of the picture when like it's supposed to be like the CEO. Like basically I was bringing harm and danger to Kenlai as the CEO. So I got like in a really big trouble because of that.
For standing
She
in the
told me
wrong
to
place
write,
in a
like,
picture.
some sentences like 100 times.
This woman's so
and then,
sleep
like,
deprived, she
try
won't
to
even
keep
know
her
she was
at
standing
sleep.
up at that point. You know what I mean? Crazy.
I am Krista Sidney. I am very sorry because I
Oh
am
my
not
God.
humble and I am lying. I gave excuses. I suck because I used lazy as my excuse today. The truth is I am greedy, selfish, and I think dirty and nasty.
Krista also shared
Wow.
WhatsApp messages with people at games from this trip, which appear to show Cherry dictating who Krista is allowed to talk to, including whether she's allowed to speak to someone delivering takeout or to the cashier.
Miss Sherry, the pasta with added chicken. So she's picking their meals, by the way, here. Yeah, picking their meals. And then she says, you're allowed to talk to the staff for ordering, no other people. When present, if Yola said you can present them, then you can. You just talk to Mr. Ken and say hello and goodbye to others. It will add up to your mistake list if you talk to other people. Once you pick up the food, you bring it up and put outside my room floor with the receipt put on top of the takeout box. You knock at my door and walk to the elevator and message me. Oh, so she's getting his food. Crazy.
To talk to, including whether she's allowed to speak to someone delivering takeout or to the cashier at a 7-Eleven. Other messages see Cherry writing a long, rambling screed about how Krista needs to accept God into her life, comments about Krista's parents and their marital problems, and finally, a demand that Krista should fear her and fear God in order to succeed. In the following days, Krista claims to have tried to resign from
Crazy
Brandywell
Christians.
Studios, although she says that Cherry would not allow this to happen.
I had a phone call with her like late at night. I told her that I wanted to resign because like I really couldn't handle it anymore. I felt like I was being a burden because like everything I did led to her
So
like,
sad.
angry. So it really felt useless.
She was
felt like I'm being
so
a burden
convinced
to,
at that point that it was all her fault.
disrespect everyone. And then she said that I'm not allowed to resign because I had a lot of debt to her.
According to Krista, Cherry had explained that this debt had been accrued over the course of her time at Brandywell. During moments
For doing
that
what?
Cherry had brought her along to expensive meals, purchased her gifts, or invited her to staycations during the pandemic.
And also
Of course.
the hours that she spent like talking to us, even though it's basically like nonsense, but like she said like it's basically like educating us.
Me harassing you all day is education. You're going to have to pay for that now unless you don't, if you leave.
She said like I still have to repay my debt, so I wasn't allowed to resign.
After returning from this trip, the abuse Krista would receive reached a totally new extreme.
Yeah, because she thought she had
Like, this is
lost her.
Cherry and here is Krista. She'll told Krista like, "Oh, you ugly fat pig, step back." So she have to move back and hide herself because Cherry doesn't want to see Krista.
Wow.
And then after that, she was like, "Move again, move again." So she started like, okay, and then
She's doing this because she was losing control. I think that's what this is. She was losing control of her because she wanted to leave, and she thought, treat her like a naughty child, and hope that she comes crawling back. I think that's what she was trying to do. That's just wild.
even though she was treated that way, Krista still has to put
That's what she was
smile on
doing.
her face.
Cherry said that if she asked Krista to eat a dead rat, Krista would do it.
Of course she would. She was completely convinced at that point.
She kept like commenting on my weight specifically, like in front of like everyone. Like she would say like, "Oh, Chris is like ugly and fat." If like she keeps like being like ugly and fat, like she would get fired.
During a period in which Krista
She probably wanted to be fired at that point, though.
Team working from the front desks of Brandywell Studios and another building elsewhere in the city, Krista's appearance was being heavily micromanaged by Cherry. In the next clip, you're going to hear Krista use the term QC, as in quality control, which is something you might usually expect to hear when describing feedback on
The cat's awake.
marketing assets that you're working on and not the clothes you're wearing on your body.
We need to every morning take a
Wow.
picture or like full body, like neck down,
She wants to check your outfits.
Show her like our outfit that day, and then she would like QC it. She would tell us like if we look like fat or like our clothing is like professional or.
Too cute. Don't wear open-toe shoes. Tell Linda she can't too. We have our orientations. I hate those shoes is the next one. I don't like your pants and the size is big. I don't accept change clothes.
Not. And then
Crazy.
Comment like my body like needs like more diet, that kind of thing.
It was also in this later period that Cherry's punishments for Krista became more and more physical. While Krista has told me that much of this happened privately, some did also take place in public. For example, one meeting in early 2023 saw Krista being humiliated as some kind of lesson for the few other Brandeville employees in attendance.
She told Krista to kneel down, her arms straight up. She will like told us like, don't look at her. You have
like a
to be
naughty
strong,
child
don't
in a
show
corner.
your empathy towards her, something like that. It
Wow.
was really scary. How can I not feel sorry if I see someone treated that way?
She doesn't know the word kneel, so every time like she would say like bow down, and then like I would like bow, but then like she get like angry because I didn't understand like what she was saying, and then I had to like kneel.
Women's against
People,
feet.
like,
Oh no,
people
she's against
inside
Miyazaki.
and like see me like kneeling for hours.
In private, things were getting much worse. Krista said that to begin with, Cherry would ask her to slap her own face lightly, like this, in order to wake herself up if she looked lethargic or if she'd made a small mistake. But
This is where it starts, I guess,
this would
right?
no longer be enough, and she would ask her to do it harder and harder.
The earliest record that I have was like a recording of me hitting myself like in the mouth until like I bled, and then she wanted me to take a picture of like the blood in my mouth.
The most extreme version of this, you've already seen some.
This is where it gets more
Video in which
graphic.
Krista hits herself as hard as she can across her face 100 times. Now I've seen that full video, I've counted each slap as it lands, and the thing that has stuck with me the most, other than the sheer violence of it, is the expression on Krista's face throughout. It's the same Krista that I've spoken to, but also it's not. It's like she's on autopilot, like she's not really even
So
there.
sad.
Krista claims that in most cases she was asked to slap herself in private or over a video call, but in this case, because it was a recording that she then needed to send to Cherry, we actually have a screenshot of the chat log when
Ooh.
that footage was sent. It reads, "Hi Mrs. Cherry, noted, will do. I would like to report that I have slapped myself 100 times and on my way to Brandeville Studios. Thank you." Cherry replies, "I don't believe. How to prove?" 3 minutes later, Krista sends the video to Cherry, who then replies, "Did I ask you, send me? You can't directly without asked. Impolite."
Wow.
Impolite.
Impolite.
That's the word she chooses to use in this moment, having just, presumably, watched her employee do that to herself. I can't
She's like,
get over
how dare you
all
send me that? I wanted proof,
slightly
not the video.
disinterested,
It's just
irritated
constant
callousness of
mind
it.
games.
Impolite. I asked Krista how many other people at Brandeville Studios at the time knew that this was happening to her.
So throughout like 2023, I believe like no one else like knew, because like it happened like either I was already like in my
Crazy.
rental place, and then like she called me and then like she told me to like slap myself, or it
Yeah,
happened,
it's almost like she
when
just
I
read
met her, like, late
a
at night
how
in the
to
office,
control
because, like,
someone
they do
book,
good.
and she's
Krista
just
told me that she
ticking
believes
all of
Emma,
those
Cherry's
marks
partner and
perfectly.
CEO of the company, was also unaware of this physical
It makes
side
you
of
wonder,
her
was she doing
abuse.
this
She said
to
when it came to the rest,
lots of
he
employees, or
saw
was
it
this just
happening and
like
seemed to feel
her
uncomfortable about it, but
favorite,
most
you
of the
know?
time,
There's obviously one
this
more
thing
that we
would
did hear
happen
about.
when he just wasn't in the room. There's also another video, this time recorded by Cherry Lai herself, in which she's berating a visibly confused and dazed looking Krista outside a room on the 3rd floor of Brandeville Studios. I'm going to play a bit of that video for you now. We're going to include some subtitles that we've written, and then Krista is going to explain in her own words what she claims has just happened to her.
Uh-oh.
I'm very sorry.
Is she like a child?
You lie, say sorry to me for what? You lie, then you need to tell the truth. What is the truth?
So sad. This is after
The truth.
3 years, by the way, I think, of working there. So
She told me to hit my head against the wall. So it was like the wooden frame of the door. Like I had to like hit my head like as hard as possible. I thought like she was like joking, right? But no, like she wanted me to like hit as hard as possible until like I had like concussion like symptoms. And in that
wow.
video, like when she was berating me, I was already like delirious because of like the impact, and then I had like my vision became like all white.
So she was delirious
like, a couple
doing that
seconds.
video.
And then like my ears rang, and then I had like a migraine, and basically like I was like
I'm assuming she was
like
not
really
gone to
like
medical
out of
attention
it.
after this
And
either.
then she tried to like gaslight me into thinking that I was like a liar because I didn't like remember, because like, well, I just hit my head.
We also need to take a moment to talk about financial abuse here, because there are at least 2 examples.
She then, when she comes round and starts talking to her about it, do you hear that at the end? She said to me that I over-exaggerated because of the concussion. And she didn't hit her that hard. This woman is an absolute menace. Okay, let's keep going.
We've been told about. We're going to start with one of Krista's co-workers first, Caesar. He told us that each month he sent a large portion of his salary to Cherry Lai in order for her to help him control his spending habits.
Oh, here we go.
She knows like I like to buy stuff, and my money management wasn't good. So I was like, okay, like I trust her.
Caesar told me that he was left with just enough to cover his essential needs each month.
As much as I would love my boss, or like get along with, I've had bosses that I really liked, I don't think I would trust the person to take half of my salary to babysit it for me. It just shows like how much this woman tried to control everybody. She's like, yeah, this is a great idea. Just give me half your money. I'm not going to spend it. Promise.
But if he then wanted to make an additional purchase, something that was considered a luxury, he would then need to ask Cherry's permission as to whether or not he could do that, and
like
it was up to her
like
to
a
decide
child.
whether or not that purchase should be made. I asked Caesar how often Cherry would say yes in these moments compared to no.
Mostly no. I
was about to say, I doubt she said yes very often.
I didn't buy anything much, basically.
What makes this dynamic potentially even worse is that according to Caesar, he doesn't actually know how much money he will have sent to Cherry.
Oh, there it is.
As part of this
So he has no idea how much money she's taken from him.
Who managed all of these finances and had the spreadsheets.
Oh,
and
my leg hurts.
looked after those numbers. And when he left Brandeville a few years later, I asked him, well, what happened to...
Yeah, I was about to say about...
She didn't give me back, so like...
Yeah, of course.
Like, I think she stole it or something like this, but she didn't give me back.
Caesar told me that if he were to hazard a guess, he likely gave Cherry somewhere in the region of 5 million Indonesian rupiah as part of this arrangement. That works out at just over a month's full pay. On top of this, when it seemed like Caesar was going to resign from the company in 2021, he claims that Cherry told him, in fact, he owed the company over
there it is.
200 million.
Same thing he did to the other girl. Actually, no, you owe us money for working here.
Salary. As you can see in this invoice that he provided us with, part of this is due to a Unity certification test that he'd taken, and then this gigantic chunk at the top here was for a training program he claims to have not even started yet, which would have seen him become an instructor at the yet-to-be-built Brandeville Academy, a school for new artists in Indonesia.
Oh my god, they were going to expand. They were going to expand into children. Oh god.
Fired from Brandeville Studios a few months later, but not before he...
Can you imagine if they'd opened that academy?
Indonesian rupiah, leaving just 20% of his paycheck intact each month. Krista's personal finances were also tangled up with Cherry's own as well. In the final months of Brandeville Studios, before it would declare bankruptcy,
Cute cat.
Krista was on
one
paper
happy
at
moment.
least, being paid a decent salary.
Basically, like, she told the finance that my salary was 18.5 million. But then, like, she told me that that was actually her money, and she's basically just like using, like, basically like kind of like putting it temporarily in my account. So I was not in the right state of mind to think that that is anything suspicious, because like she didn't give me like space to think.
That's wild.
Because first of all, severe sleep deprivation. Second of all, like she sent me a message like almost every hour, so I had to like, I didn't have like time to like think of anything else rather than like respond or like work.
Krista has shared WhatsApp messages with Peanut Games dating from April to June of 2024.
It was just
in which
constant.
She's been seen informing Cherry on multiple occasions how much she's received that month from her salary, and then Cherry appears to dictate what she then needs to do with it.
So each month I was only supposed to keep like 1.5 million, and then like the rest, like 17 million, I need to withdraw, exchange to Hong Kong dollars, and then like pass it to her, or I have to buy her like,
Sounds
stuff,
a
like,
little
expensive
sus.
clothes and like expensive.
So she was basically like laundering money through her employees, asking them to exchange it into Hong Kong dollars because she's originally from Hong Kong, and then ask them to give it to her. Seems a little. This seems a little sus.
Items.
Doesn't sound great, does it? Sounds a bit fraudy.
Yeah.
But hey, if you're wondering what Cherry makes of these allegations, what her response to that might be, as well as everything else in this video, we have actually had a small amount of communication with her.
Because I guess
it was weird.
She's counting that as employee payments, right? So
she did not respond to this specific allegation. Now, there's one more story I want to tell you about before we get to how all of this came to an end. It's from a woman that you've not heard from yet. Her name is Shifiana Afiati, or Shifa for short, and she was for a time the business development manager.
all right, this is the really, really sad story of the lady miscarrying, and I don't want to depress you guys too much. So we'll skip over that story. If you do want to watch it, I'll post this here, and I'll also post it in the YouTube video. But let's not depress ourselves too much. She had a miscarriage, is what they said in the article, after months and months of abuse from these people.
At Brandeville Studios.
All right, let's go on to the end.
Brandeville Studios entered liquidation and was shut down. While most of its former employees waited for their severance to arrive and looked for work and opportunities elsewhere, a handful were convinced by...
Also something to think about. This is 3 employees. It said they had 50 to 100. So it makes you wonder... I think they said they had like dorms at the bottom. So probably at least 10 employees worked and lived there full time with Sherry. So you can imagine this is probably a story that spreads over maybe even 100 people.
By Ken and Cherry to help them.
I want to see what this Sherry looks like now. I want to see her face.
Studios. Krista is keen for me to point out here that she didn't design the logo, which for some reason resembles a toilet. The group spent a few weeks holding
I had noticed that.
Regis Hotel in Jakarta, where they would try to figure out how to pivot to this new company and how also to attract investment. These would be the last weeks that Krista would spend with Cherry Lai, and they would also be some of the most...
I hope she went to get some therapy after this.
Krista recalls one moment in which she and another woman, Alicia, the former HR manager you just heard about, the two of them were approaching the hotel room of...
Yeah, many years of therapy.
From, like, her,
crazy.
Like a hotel room, I stood like in front of it. She she hit my head until like my glasses like fell off. She stomped on my glasses until like it broke, and then like she slapped me a couple of times. Like she pushed me against the wall.
What did she do this time? Fucking pour a glass of water wrong?
And then like told me like to clean up like the mess.
This incident has been corroborated to People Make Games by Alicia Sandra, and she also confirms what Krista believes to be the reason for
here we go.
Which is that the two of them had left supplies for Ken and Cherry next to their hotel room door rather than hung on the door handle of the room itself.
She didn't hang the item on the door correctly. So she got beaten and attacked by her employee, by her manager, by the woman who's meant to be her manager. Wild.
2 days prior to this, Krista
such a tiny thing. But they do this for fear, right? They do this to people because if you attack them for every little thing that they do, then they become so fearful of making a mistake that they don't think about how the whole situation is fucked, right? It's so fucked up.
Jakarta, where upon arrival, and after realizing that a document hadn't been printed off, which Cherry had requested, Cherry slapped Krista several times, punched her in the chest, grabbed her around the throat, and then kicked her before leaving for the meeting that was happening upstairs. The following month, with Brandeville Studios now having officially closed.
I wonder how she treated her husband, by the way.
Ken and Cherry
I doubt he was. I doubt he got away, by the way.
Again at the St. Regis Hotel. This time she's
Is this just a manager? This is the CEO's wife. This is the CEO's wife, who I'm assuming she runs everything by the sounds of it. But yeah, this is literally just the wife of the CEO.
For Cherry late at night, that she finally realizes this woman's power over her is no longer real.
So St. Regis is like really cold. Like inside the hotel, it's like so cold. It felt like it was winter over there. And I had been like standing by like since morning until like nighttime.
Crazy.
So it was like I was so cold. She didn't let me eat until like it was like late at night, and she didn't let me to like properly cover myself up with like a blanket. So she was taunting me. She was like challenging me basically. I thought to myself like, Shorty doesn't have like anyone else. Like I was like quite literally like the only person left with her. And she's still doing this to me.
Krista claims that Cherry had sent her out with her ATM cards in order to check the account balances ahead of the next day, and upon her arrival back at the hotel where she was expecting to meet Cherry, she found that Cherry had in fact returned to her hotel room. Now Krista knew the drill at this point. She would usually be expected to either message Cherry, call her, maybe knock on her hotel room door. She would not be able to leave without Cherry's permission.
But this time around, like I was like, you know what, I'm so tired, it's like 2 a.m. I should order like a cab home. And then when she realized that I wasn't going back to her, she panicked.
She tells me there were messages, phone calls, threats.
When she realized she lost control.
Instead, with the help of her mum and her brother, Krista began the work of compiling evidence to show what had happened to her and her colleagues.
So brave, by the way.
Few years. Because here's the thing about bombarding someone with abuse over the course of years, and in Krista's own words, almost every hour.
There's evidence.
When this time comes, those messages exist, and Krista and her colleagues are going to have just so many receipts to work with. Indonesians have a phrase that's popular right now as trust in the country's police force and justice system are especially low. It's just 4 short words, and here they are.
No viral, no justice.
It means that if you want the authorities to take your story seriously and act upon it, if you want justice, you need that story to blow up on social media and force them to get involved. And in Indonesia, at least, that's exactly what happened with the Brandeville allegations. They went viral. And in turn, the Indonesian police has now begun interviewing witnesses, collecting evidence, and according to the Jakarta Globe, is looking to bring Cherry Lai in for questioning.
Oh, that'll be an interesting investigation. Seeing her speak.
I believe Cherry Lai is no longer in Indonesia.
She's probably back in Hong Kong.
She's in Hong Kong.
Yeah, she's gone back home.
The reason I think that is because, well, she told me. I emailed Cherry in November about the allegations you've now heard in this video, offering her and Ken the opportunity to answer the many questions we had.
Hey Zara, welcome back.
She replied and started off by thanking me for the reporting I'd done on the crunch conditions at her studio in 2021, which was
interesting,
unexpected, before going on to say, and I quote, "To me, my part of the story is not important, as long as my team are good and safe now. However, I will love to meet a new friend if you can make it to Hong Kong." I told Cherry that I'd be happy to travel to Hong Kong in order to speak to her, but that any conversation we had would need to be both on the record and on camera. And at this point, she seemingly changed her mind and shortly stopped replying to my emails. As for
She didn't want to keep it evidence. She didn't want evidence of this interview.
And he remains a mystery to me, honestly, here. I'm not exactly sure how we're meant to feel about his role in all of this.
You know, it's supposed to be wild and spicy. Yeah, this is
on his culpability.
a nightmare.
I make the very persuasive argument that he is, as one source put it to me, Cherry Lai's biggest enabler. As a husband and as the CEO of Brandeville Studios,
I think that's her. Chat, I think that's her.
Should have known what was going on. He should have done more to stop it. He should have protected the people he was responsible for.
What is this about? We just spent an hour watching it. It's about abuse, abuse of colleagues in a company that was doing assets for video games.
Well, one of the witnesses who saw that happen told me that this took place in the building's lobby, and when it happened, Ken Lai was in that same lobby.
We've been here for quite a while watching this.
And appeared to act as if nothing had happened. But what confuses
But I'll pop the video in there if you want to watch it again.
Krista, who believed that Ken Lai may be another victim of Cherry's abuse, and that his silence comes from a place of fear. I don't know if that's true. I just don't really know enough about Ken Lai altogether. And when I mentioned that to a
there she is.
a few days ago on a call, they replied,
"There's Sherry."
Oh, altogether. And when
There's Sherry. Thank you, Cobalt. I wonder, right? What do you guys think? Do you think he was also being abused or enabled her? I feel like you would assume that he would have also done some things to the employees, right? If he was also as cynical as her. But he could also be, she could have also not been harming him, but he was just completely complicit in it, right? And he was fearful of saying no to her in the fear that she would do something to him. So he might not be like an abused partner per se, but more just like having a blind eye to her actions in the hopes that he doesn't get attacked. Or yeah, he could also be getting just as much stuff from her as all of these employees, maybe more so, right? Because he actually has to live with her 24/7. Can you imagine living with someone like this for 24/7? I wonder how long they've been married. Mess. I guess we'll hear more if this does actually go through the court system.
When I mentioned that to a former Brandeville employee,
Probably a bit of both. Probably.
Replied, "Nobody does." As for Krista's future, I asked her what she intends to do next now that all of this has finally gone public.
Oh God, never go near Sherry again.
I'm hoping to recover mentally and physically, so I'm under like some treatments at the moment, and then
okay, she's doing treatment, she's doing therapy. Good.
My feet, if things go well.
Thank God for that.
Law, like want to be able to help like other artists like in the future.
Wow, she's so strong.
For them to have like a better working environment than I did.
Wow.
Krista told me that Indonesia is in desperate need of improved labour laws which can better protect its workforce from exploitation across pretty much every level, and that she hopes to, in some small way, contribute to that change going forwards, which is just a
That's amazing, yeah.
Ended up after all that she's
crazy.
been through. So huge shout out to Krista there. Now I do want to end this video by also just talking about the reason Krista and some of her co-workers agreed to be interviewed by me again this time around. Because I really think that is the elephant.
Well, they want this to be worldwide news, right, and not just local news.
No viral, no justice is certainly part of it, but there's something else going on as well. The video games industry, as we know it today, would look completely, utterly different without outsourced labor.
Yep.
Seriously, if you pick almost any AAA game at random from your collection and properly read through its credits, you're going to start to get some idea of the sheer scale at which this medium has relied on outsourcing for things like the creation of art assets, animation, audio work, localization, and QA. That's assuming the game you've picked has properly credited all of the people.
Because they don't always, yeah.
Which is not exactly a given, but you get my point. However, these Brandeville employees want you, our audience, to hear about their story because outside of their home country, they're not being treated as this.
Also, guys, for people that came in late, these guys worked on Dark Souls 3. They've worked on Souls games. They work with Sony. They work with Ubisoft. They work with Microsoft. They work with all major games that we have played. Just FYI. You've played multiple of their games.
Crucial linchpin of the video game making process.
Disney as well, yeah, Warner Brothers. These guys have made huge games. They've worked on massive games. The Last of Us, everything.
Outsourcing, particularly when it comes to lower income countries, is a topic that people living in the global north don't feel very comfortable talking about. And that discomfort has led to,
I think that word's the wrong one, Zura. Abused. I don't think anyone's been that yet.
By people who don't live in Indonesia. It's barely been covered in the press. It's not being called out by the game studios who've relied on Brendeville's work up until now.
But these guys do art assets, so.
Conversation outside of Southeast Asia about the working conditions of outsourced labor in the video games industry. Why is that, do you think? What makes Krista Sidney and her co-workers any less important than game developers based elsewhere in the world?
Because
There's
of
likely many answers to
work
that
laws,
question,
yeah.
None of them are good. If this video does end up reaching a wider audience and brings these stories to people living in the UK, in Europe, in the US, the global north, I hope it does prompt some conversation, some proper conversation on that front, at least. I'd like to offer a huge, heartfelt thank you to everyone who spoke to People Like Games for this.
It's doing okay. It could definitely do better. 246k. I guess we'll see if this goes a bit more viral. You would hope so. It's a very interesting video. So this is People Make Games, if you guys want to keep up with the things that they do. Colbot did just post it, but I will post it again if you want to share this video. But I will try my best to keep up with this case. I will definitely see if there's any more updates on the criminal stuff. But yeah, this is capitalism in a nutshell, right? You will try and find people who are just as creative and educated to do a job, but in a country where labor is more lax and cheap, so you can get it done as cheaply as possible instead of hiring people in like the US or, you know, in the UK where the laws are a little bit more stringent, and it's fucked up. We need to be more mindful of what's happening in these companies. Like, I'm sure like Ubisoft did make a statement. We did see it earlier. You know, like Ubisoft obviously didn't know what was happening in here, but should there be some kind of should these big companies be looking into these studios that they're just hiring from to see like actually what their work environment is like? Like, I guess to me, if you hire a company just once and they do like, I don't know, a couple of chairs, fine, okay, maybe you don't need to like go look into their entire background and see like how the company works. But if you're using them for multiple things in your company and you're using them for the like every game that you sell, then I don't know if it's just me, but I think that they should check to see how the working environment is in that company. Obviously, we saw at the beginning that a lot of the staff was so terrified to say anything about Sherry that they were making statements saying how good the company was. So it is hard, right? I'm sure if they went there and looked at the environment, everyone would have been like, no, this is perfect, this is amazing. I'm sure they would have like made sure that only the best non-destructive employees would have been there the day that these companies come in, right? So it's also tricky in that aspect. But we need to be more careful, and I think companies should have some kind of backdrop to check how these companies are being run, right? Because this guy said at the beginning, they started this just because they wanted to talk about crunch. They pardon me, only started this investigation because of how much crunch was in the company and how people had said that they were working so much overtime without getting paid, and then all of this just spiraled, right? So it makes you wonder how many other companies are like this, that are getting paid way less than they would if they were in like the US and being treated like absolute crap. Let's hope that this story brings some attention to that. Maybe they will do some more investigations into these smaller companies. We will see. But this is only 5 days. So this is pretty recent. So hopefully this gets a bit bigger. We need to pray that someone like a Moist Critical or a Muda High or fucking Sky News gets on this article, right? And it gets really big. But until then, it's just waiting in the sidelines. But we'll keep an eye on this one, and we will see how it goes. All right, we have one last little thing to do for today, which is just a little bit of Ubisoft drama. So Ubisoft, we won't go through all this article because it's IGN, and a lot of it is not going to be important. No offense, IGN, but a little bit of offense to IGN. Ubisoft have basically denied the Tencent deal. They have said no. The the idea at the beginning is Tencent said basically we will save you Ubisoft and we will take over the company, but they also wanted to take all of the their ability for voting and stuff, you know? So Ubisoft were a bit off-putted by that, and we've been in like limbo for what, like 6 weeks, 7 weeks with this, and then it comes out now saying that Ubi have denied the Tencent thing. But there's more drama to that than just denying Tencent. Unfortunately, I feel like this was also a bit of a cop-out for Ubisoft, but we will go through just a little bit of this drama. All right, Ubisoft has also delayed Assassin's Creed again. They said by another month, but I don't think Assassin's Creed Shadow is coming out anytime soon, to be honest. But I'm always happy to be proven wrong. Okay, so Ubisoft has delayed Assassin's Creed again by another month, amid a time of troubled financials, continued cost-cutting, and ongoing rumours the company was preparing for a sale to the giant Tencent. In an emergency conference call today, investors grilled the CEO and CFO for answers of all the above, but the responses did not prove much reassurance. All right, let's see if we get any of the statements. Per press release, the company has appointed leading advisors to review and pursue various transformative strategies and capitalism options to extend their base value for stakeholders. The process will be overseen by independent members of the board of directors, and Ubisoft will inform the market in accordance with applying regulations. So basically, we're going to try and fix it, don't you worry. We're going to fix it, don't you worry, is basically what that says. But we have had no, I think, full statement by them, other than them just saying that we're not going to sell to Tencent at the moment. I think we saw before Tencent has a bit of a percentage in Ubi already. And I do think having new management would have done Ubisoft very well. But they apparently are not going to go with that. All right, we have a little comment from Duggett. French is hard. Okay, the objective of this process is to unlock the best valued potential of our assets and to benefit our stakeholders, and to foster the best conditions to create great games in a fast evolving market. Oh, this is just going to be marketing jargon. Basically, we promise we're going to fix things and make our stakeholders happy over everything else. I'm assuming where this is going. That's an overall objective, and that's why we mentioned that we are appointing leading advisors. We are currently actively exploring different options, but we can't say more. And of course, we won't commit on specific rumours we have seen in the market, but we are convinced there are several potential paths to generate value for Ubisoft assets and franchises. We will inform the market if and when transactions materialise. That says literally nothing. It's just a word of nothing. We said this before, that I don't think without a name change, Ubisoft could fix their reputation. All right, so this is the current drama of Ubisoft. They're saying no to Tencent. But I think the reason they said no to Tencent really is because of this, which I need to post on Google because it doesn't like Opera. It's not my friend on Opera. Okay. So I think this is one of the main reasons, probably, why they have changed it. US adds Tencent and a couple of other companies to list as Chinese firms alleging money to the military, the Chinese military. So many ads. This is why we were doing this on Opera. So on January 6th, the US Defense Department said on Monday that it's added tech giant Tencent, battery maker CAT-L, to a list of companies that it said works with the Chinese military in a move to set escalations between the US-Chinese tensions. Tencent have come out and said that this is wrong. Tencent said on Tuesday its business would be unaffected and that it would initiate a reconsideration process to correct its conclusion on this. If necessary, they will make legal proceedings. They're not saying Tencent's a military company. They're saying Tencent has given money / funded things for the military in China. This is the US's way of saying all China is bad. Companies from China are bad and they are spying on us, and we should not have any Chinese companies. That is where this comes from. Tencent is a company that actually has a lot of tentacles in a lot of the gaming that we love, chat. Like a lot of the gaming that we love. They say that this shouldn't affect Tencent's ability to do things in the US, but we really don't know right now. So it really depends. But if they said something like any game that's made by Tencent or any company that has Tencent as shares has to either not be in the country or Tencent have to sell their shares, that is a ridiculous amount of companies. You know, like they own Riot now, they own the boys that do Fortnite, they have, you know, as chat was saying, Katakawa, they've got a percentage in, they've got a percentage in Ubisoft. It is a lot of companies. So it's kind of a big deal, to be honest. It's kind of scary. I guess we don't know what would actually happen with this. But let's see if we can just put like a thing of Tencent gaming shares. Oh, I can't see my keyboard. It's a crazy amount of companies. Okay, just a few. Riot Games, Supercell, Epic Games, and Larian Studios, Baldur's Gate. That's just a couple of the humongous ones that they have a stake in or own. So yeah, it's kind of a big deal. And I think this is also one of the reasons why Ubisoft instantly backed out on the idea of Tencent owning them completely. Because if the US does put bigger regulations on them, then I don't know, maybe Ubisoft couldn't make games in the US, you know? So yeah, it's kind of a big deal. But we will see. I guess we'll see what happens. Tencent are going to fight this, and so are the other companies that got put into this. Pardon me. So we'll see in the upcoming weeks what happens with that. But yeah, kind of just out of the nowhere. I believe they do an update on these companies every year for the US. And yeah, they just fucking smack Tencent with this instantly. Ubisoft working with Chinese military is also too funny. I think you're taking the wrong part of this, Sarah. Every company, like the US, right? Like Microsoft and Nvidia, and they all work with the US military. You know, like if you work in a company in your own country, normally does help and fund that country's government, right? That's just unfortunately how it works. I think in China, right, that every company has to have a percentage from the government or something. Intel just got a huge government subsidy recently. Yeah, Microsoft is huge. Intel is huge. They do a lot for the US government. Facebook have openly said that they will give any data to the government if they ask for it. You know, like this is a normal thing that happens in every country. But there's obviously a kind of Cold War happening right now between China and the US. So the US is attacking, you know, pretty much anything that is Chinese, like TikTok, which is about to be banned in a couple of days. So yeah, we will see how this happens, see what happens with this. But yeah, I believe this is one of the bigger reasons why Ubisoft kind of backed away from having Tencent buy them 100%. And it would be massive if they just like out of nowhere the US was like, no more Tencent games in our country. That would be kind of huge. So yeah, that is all the drama for today. That is all the gaming news. I will leave you with that random Tencent drama at the end. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today. We went through a lot of good videos, and I was good. I left all the drama and the most depressing stuff till end. If you didn't see the funner stuff, then hopefully you catch the video later. But thank you guys for hanging out for a little bit. I very much appreciate it. I'm going to go grab some food and chill out. And then tomorrow, I will probably carry on with our Foggate randomizer. But first, I might need to go to get the doctors and check to see if this coil is not slipped. So I'll keep you guys updated on Discord about what the NHS does tomorrow when I call them. But hopefully, if I do get seen, it'll be nice and early, and then we can come play some Elden Ring afterwards. But thank you guys for hanging out. I very much appreciate it. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll catch you at some point tomorrow. Thank you guys. Bye.